making every single one of my point that probably can't even get too deep into it here in our friendly little environment, but we'll reveal as much as we can about social success and having a really, really fun life. And so the main goal of these videos, okay, the main goal of these podcasts specifically is to show you you don't have to be a fucking loser. And when I say that, here's what I mean. You don't need to wake up every day and go to a job that you fucking hate. You don't need to wake up every day and have a horrible social life. You don't need to look at other people going to cool parties and be like, oh, why can't I go to that? Your life can be normal. And what I mean by normal is you have a lot of cash, you have an amazing social life, you go to great parties, you go into the outdoors, you have a lot of money saved up so that you could have fucking children and you could go on adventures, and on some level, you're spiritually tapped in. That's normal, okay? That's what I'm trying to relay to you. That is normal. Not what you're doing now. What you're doing now is not normal. What you're doing now sucks, okay? So that is what every single one of these podcasts is meant to do. It's meant to piss you off. It's meant to be a little bit confrontational. It's meant to antagonize you, because what I'm trying to do here is get you to raise your standard to where it is normalized that you'd have the kind of life that I'm describing. So what I've been doing in a lot of these podcasts is bringing on different friends of mine and people that are actually living this, because if you don't have a social circle like that at home, then what winds up happening is it feels like you can't do it. And then, I'm a little bit crazy, so you see me doing it, and you're like, well, that's Owen. I can't do what Owen does. So what I'm trying to show you is other regular friends of mine who do this, and they do it effortlessly, and to learn a little bit more about the lifestyle. Now, that said, we're going to talk about it here. We're going to share war stories. We're going to show what it's like. We're going to have a lot of fun. But if you want the specific step-by-step instructions that go very, very, very deep, and if you want it to be exercise-oriented, to have a supportive community, and to have coaching every single week over the phone, so you've got a coach, a mastermind group, and a full-on course on how to do it, what I did was, if you remember back in the day, I had a program called Blueprint Decoded. You remember that? And that was a program that changed the entire community. What I did was I updated it, and now it's called the Blueprint Reloaded. And it actually includes the 20-hour original program that rebuilt the whole community. It includes that in it, but it's also 80 hours of new content of me doing the seminar that I used to charge $5,000 to attend. And that's all done now digitally, so that you don't have to fly into Los Angeles to do that seminar. You can take that from anywhere in the world, watch it, be part of the group, be part of the phone calls. But here's the deal. We are cutting off the group and cutting off the phone calls. So if you want to be a part of that, get in while we're still doing that component of it. Get in there right now. Blueprint Reloaded, going to change your life. If you do not get back 10x what you put into it, as long as you watched it and did the exercise and did the calls, refund the fucking thing, because it failed, okay? This is meant to be the most important thing you ever do in your life. Blueprint Reloaded. Click this link below now, and I'll see you inside. Okay, so boys, welcome. In from Miami, you guys came down for the Ty Lopez party. We had a lot of fun. Giant Estate, balling out. Ty's killing it. Everybody here is killing it. Good to see you guys. I'm going to go real quick to just give your name, and then we're going to pop up your IG just because as people get to know you, I want them to know where to find you. Name, full name, Instagram, and just knock through that real quick. Give a little bit of background, then we're going to start sharing war stories here.
100%, and it's an honor to be on this podcast with you, Owen. So my Instagram is @Naeem. That's my handle, and I'm an entrepreneur. I've built
Naeem.
Naeem. Yes, my name is Naeem Al Obeidi, and so I'm an entrepreneur. I've built 3 companies to over 7 figures over the last 6 years. Started when I was 19, and before that, I had an extensive background and a very challenging, young adult life to get to where I'm at. A lot of personal development. A lot of work, a lot of schooling, but I've been financially independent now for the last 7 years, and so I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to share my story and also share the stage here with some of my good friends here like Zach and Georgino, and obviously Mr. Owen himself. So thank you. That's a little bit about me.
Awesome.
So my name is Zachary Zerkis, and I actually go by Zach Zerk online. It's ZACHZERK on all platforms. So I got my first kick in the domino realm of crypto. So being in that cycle, I ended up hitting my first 7 figures back in 2017, and had that first aha moment in the market. Got into network marketing, started getting into sales and marketing. understanding building a brand. Built a brand to 8.6 million on Instagram in the last 2 years. Did that strictly for dating to up my social validation, and just kind of fell into developing that packaging and polishing of the offer this last 2 years, and just kind of developing that out and experiencing, building yourself and reflecting in time.
Epic.
Yeah, my name's Giorgio Poulos.
Face with the mouth there.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. My name's Giorgio Poulos.
A little more.
Good?
Yeah.
Good? Okay. My name's Giorgio Poulos. I'm the COO of Creators Inc. We're the world's largest OnlyFans agency in the world. So it's been a crazy journey, and it's wild out here in LA. I'm from Ohio, so I've been here for 3 years, and this is a great place to make some money.
Mm-hmm. You ever seen the podcast Inside OnlyFans?
Yeah.
So do you know CJ Sparks?
Yep.
That's my ex-girlfriend. We were together for 3 years back in the day.
That's crazy. No
Yeah.
way.
Have you guys ever met?
No, not
I'll
personally.
try to introduce you
but
guys.
Yeah.
We're still very great friends.
Right on.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Yeah, so we just had TMZ do a show at our house for Creators Inc. And they brought like the top OnlyFans girls in the world. So
Sick.
Yeah.
You have a fun life, my friend.
Yeah, it's pretty cool waking up where I wake up.
I bet it is.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of entertainment. Okay, so boys. Okay, so the big thing I'm trying to get across here, and these are very not stuffy podcasts. Okay, I like to fuck around, like tell war stories, like to just talk a lot of shit. So before we turn on the cameras, we're talking a lot of shit. So we're just gonna keep talking a lot of shit. Okay. So basically, like Naeem, I've known you a long time. So my reference to you is like we're at parties together. We're meeting girls, we're having fun, we're making money, stuff like that, right? But that's like, and then you guys all work together. Is that my understanding? Okay, because we're just meeting here today, but we're just having a fun day today. So you guys all work together? You're all homies, or what's the deal with you guys in Miami?
So actually, he came out to the Clever Investor, was a speaker.
Yeah, let's pull that mic up a bit too.
I went as a guest.
You can pull it closer to you too. If you
Really, I just ended up, falling into that through a yacht, and through assembly on a yacht. He ends up coming out, has a fluke moment where he ends up in the front of this restaurant, couldn't get into the restaurant because of the way that he was dressed, got onto the yacht, ended up meeting, Destined, and then end up coming out here to LA, just checking things out with Ty, and then end up, connecting with him just through mutual associations. And obviously we've seen each other, twice now at 2 different events, but our feet keep bringing us together, and that's the power of assembly.
Okay, sick. So you guys are friends. And then, so you two guys are just meeting, and then you guys are homies from back in Miami.
No, actually, we met in Miami.
Okay,
so it's kind of a newfound relationship, but
yeah,
it's a understanding through mutual beneficial like projections. We're both in the sales marketing space. Kind of.
I'm already sending him wires. That's how much that's how far we've already gotten in our friendship.
Okay, sick.
So we're working together now.
Okay, so what I want to get into is the shit that the Midas actually fucking cares about, because this shit they don't give a fuck. Here's what they care about: parties, women, boats, fun, money, like the shit that people give a fuck about. So let's talk a bit about that. Like I'm trying to normalize that for my audience. Okay, like the reality that I live in is just endless social opportunities, parties all the time, money all the time, travel all the time. Like that's what I built, because that was the life that I wanted to have. So I was like me before I was, say, 40. Okay, like leading up till 40, we were running some of the best parties in LA, competing with Hugh Hefner for best party in LA. Like we were doing like $500K per party parties, $1 million per party parties. We do sick parties here. Running enormous seminars, big social media following, banking cash, 8-figure business, like just enjoying your life. Like the shit you're fucking supposed to do. That everyone's like, wow, it's so inspiring that this shit's not inspiring. That's like saying a guy that's a garbage man's inspiring. That's normal. That's fucking normal. And people be like, no, like, I can't do that. Like, what are you even talking about? And so the message I'm trying to hammer people with is like, if you're a regular guy working a 50K a year job and you saw a guy in the streets, you're not gonna, like, why are you not in a cardboard box smoking meth in the fucking street? Because that's weird. What you're doing now is weird. That's what I'm trying to put in people's mind. Like, your life now is fucking weird. Just stop, bro. Stop, bro. Put down the rock, bro. Get out of the cardboard box, bro. Stop wanking it with your own shit, bro. Stop giving hand jobs to old men in the park for a hit of crack, bro. Like, stop. That's your regular job. It sucks. Your life sucks. And that maybe 1% of people watching this, their life doesn't suck. Everybody else's life fucking sucks. That's why we made Blueprint Reloaded. But you guys are here because I want you guys to describe the lifestyle, show them that it's normal, show that like your friends all live like this. Everybody lives like this. It's not hard to do. You just have to have a different standard and not accept that your life fucking sucks. So like that's kind of what I'm trying to get from you guys. Like anything you can do to describe the lifestyle or the fun of it. And we'll talk how to get there.
It's been a long time since I've like met somebody in the social circles like that we're a part of where they say like I'm working a 9-to-5 job, because right now that actually is weird to me. Like if somebody says to me like, yeah, I'm a waiter at this restaurant, I'm like, okay, like am I in the wrong place? Like I shouldn't be here right now. And so I totally agree with you. And I think it's a sensitive topic because I also don't want to put those people down. I just feel like there's another layer to life. If somebody tells me, hey, I am a waiter at a restaurant, in my head, I'm like, okay, there's a layer of life that this person just does not understand yet, and they don't have awareness of it. And it's okay, but I think that's why people like you that are going out there and like, Owen, you're trying to help these people become conscious of the fact that there is this new layer, there is this layer that they're unaware of, that they need to become aware of. And I think once they have that awareness, that's step one. And they say the circle at the top is small. They say that all the time. And I think that's why we're always talking about like, yeah, we're running into each other all the time because the social circles that we hang out in, and it's usually, you know, a social circle where you might get invited to our social circle, but you're the person that's like, no, I have work. Or no, I'm too tired to go out. Or no, I'd rather smoke weed and play video games tonight than go out to this party that I'm getting invited to. But that party that you're getting invited to is where Owen and I are and Zach and Georgino are. And we're actually socializing. We're having fun. We're getting our dopamine from the right places. And because of that, we're just constantly in this environment where it's normal for us to talk about the businesses that we own and the ideas that we have. You know, Zach introduced me to the owner of that yacht that I met you on. The guy's worth like, you know, over $500 million, whatever. And I'm hanging out with this man and his entourage, and all they're talking about is like the vision of where they want their life to be and how they want to renovate this business, and they want to, you know, put a dock in the building that they own on the shore of Miami Beach. And they're just constantly innovating and creating like their life. They're literally speaking their life into existence of what they want. And that's what we always do. If you read How to Win Friends and Influence People, it says, you know, the number one thing to do to not be like somebody that's hated, or, you know, if you want to be a likable person, you don't complain, condemn, or criticize, right? So if I ever find myself complaining, condemning, or criticizing, I immediately tell myself, stop.
Because that's how broke losers talk.
Exactly. So there are certain rules, and the answers are all out there, right? Like people need to read books, but we also know people that don't read books and still have this social calibration, and it's because they're just around the environment. So I think a part of it is the mindset. It's not the method, because as I mentioned earlier, I built 3 companies in the last, 7 or 8 years. Ever since I was 19, that's when I moved to LA. I was flown out to teach a crypto course because that was one of my first businesses, a crypto derivatives trading platform. And then I moved into another business because that business started to slow down after 2017, 2018. We hit a bear market, right? There's cycles. And so I had to pivot. I had to create a new inception of what it was going to take for me to have financial independence. And then I started an event business, and I started meeting celebrities and A-listers and bringing them together, and then selling tickets for other people that were high net worth that wanted to meet them. And then now I have a sales agency. I'm building sales for, brands like Ty Lopez and Dan Fleischman. And, we're working together, generating millions of dollars for them, helping them scale their businesses. So what I'm trying to say is it's not a method. It's not like I got lucky and built a crypto business to 7 figures and now I'm still living off of that. No, I've had to build 2 more companies since then because that business slowed down. So it's a mindset. It's a mind. And if this business slows down, I guarantee there's going to be another business.
No, you just give up, bro. Just go put in your resume at Best Buy, bro.
Absolutely not. And I've known Owen now for the last 7 years. I remember meeting Owen in 2017, 2018, and I've seen him in different phases of his life. I've seen him generating income in different ways, right? And I'm sure we all have similar stories. So entrepreneurship is normal if you're an entrepreneur. And if you're not an entrepreneur, there's a layer of life that you're just not exposed to. And becoming a part of a program like Owen's is going to get you that exposure. I think we've all invested in ourselves. We've all done and taken steps to develop ourselves personally. And so, click that link, get the program. It's a starting point because you just told me the price of the program. I'm like, are you kidding me?
No, that's like you guys are looking at me
content?
like I'm a clown. Like you're like when I told you 2 nights, you were like, what the fuck, right? I'm really trying to help. I do free events too, you know, and some motherfuckers can't even like, I live an hour away from the event. I can't find a way there. And it's like an addiction, bro. It's like a dude is like, yo, I'm just gonna give hand jobs to old men in the park and fucking like get hits of crack after. Like that's what it sounds like to me. Like, bro, like just put your hands back in your fucking pockets, stop smoking the fucking rock, and like wake the fuck up. And it's like it's an addiction to just your life sucking. And I know that you know it too, because like you'll have friends and you show them how to do this shit, and then they sit there, they start complaining, condemning, gossiping, being fucking lazy, wasting the fucking opportunities. That's why every single business owner knows that even when you try to hire family members who you love, like you would die for these motherfuckers, or you try to hire your friends from high school and then they come in, they fuck it up, they complain, they steal, they cry, they have a meltdown. Like this is to the point where I became Christian because I'm like, I think Satan has them. They're possessed by the devil. Diablo! Yeah! Like it's like, how can you just fuck this up again and again and again? It's just given to you. It's been given to you, and they fuck it up. So it drives me crazy. So like my main thing is like more evangelizing people out of that, more so than I even care about making my next dollar, because I can't even look at it. I can't even look at this shit. Guys, you know, we live here in LA. We're in the Hollywood Hills now. You know, we're in Beverly Hills like earlier. You walk down the regular part of the city, everyone's all fucked up. They look like they're fucking zombies. They look like they're on fucking crack. Some are on crack. There's crack tent cities and shit. How is this shit okay? People should be stepping the fuck up and put a stop to this. Anyway, okay. So the point that I'm making is like, it's normal for you to be out with me at parties, having fun, meeting people. Like, you know how to meet people randomly at a bar or club just like I do, but you don't need to because you have a social circle. You could do either, right? So that's normal to you. And let's even talk about your situation. Like, you'll have like, you know, hundreds of new attractive friends out on a yacht, for example, or things like that. And you've built your life up to that. So what would you say as far as like the mindset behind normalizing business owning, entrepreneurship, having a fun social life, traveling, going to cool events? Like, I'm just trying to normalize that in people's minds. Like, make it feel like we're their friends. Like, we're the person who's watching friends, so that it becomes normal for them.
So one of the normalization things that I feel like should be normal is just socializing at least 6 times a week. Because when you have that more connectivity of meeting people and then just having the right type of network that you're tapping into to get a part of that herd mentality. So if you're near, for me, what actually was a transition was stepping into the network marketing realm, because then I was around distributors versus customers. And that slow transition was being near the fire of being a salesperson, being a marketer, and having that higher skill set and understanding the importance of a brand to be able to sell to customers, even though I was a customer to begin with. And that was the be a product of the product, right? You had to get that awareness. But then there was also the division of why they would want to segregate you. If you were a builder right away, they would invite you to builder meets. If you were a customer, they would kind of categorize you. So I feel like just that thought transference happens through proximity. And it's super critical for you to have a social circle, for you to be able to integrate that new program and paradigm, because your paradigm is going to shift as soon as you're osmosising from the right group. And that's, for me, how I've been able to taproot almost every major city, is just going to network marketing events or an event for, you know, self-development. And it's very critical. Like, what you're doing is getting a part of, you know, the mindset shift for people to be able to transition and actually have somebody that's giving the coaching to come into community, and the community then reflecting on that person.
Now, tell me what your life looks like now. Let's describe your life right now.
So
that was the beginning.
So right now, my life consists of being on yachts 33% of the time. I've been in Miami. I've been blessed to be able to part of the Miami Beach Yacht Club, and that allows me to be able to go out on a 95-foot Sunseeker, be able to be on a $7 million yacht, you know, old money type vibe, where then you're transitioning into your new circle scenarios being on water. And, you know, being...
By the way, if you can load that up off his Instagram and post it as this is broadcasting, you can do that too. Keep going.
So
is that on your IG?
Yeah. So
cool, he'll find it.
Just to be able to, you know, have the opportunity to get a part of, you know, it's Miami Beach Yacht Club, mybc.club on Instagram. And what that allows people to be able to do is actually get into a members club of high net worth individuals, where, you know, a person just to get in at the lowest tier is 70, 80K. And that's a real step up in your social influence, just like why you would want to get in golf, or you'd want to get into tennis, is just higher profile activities for somebody, somebody that's getting first started, obviously doesn't transition into that right away, but that's what it ended up evolving into, is then being around high net worth people because they just love being out on the water and having social dynamics of what they're doing for their masterminds in assembly.
Yeah, and do you do some really sick parties that helps your dating life and social life as well?
Could you also, because one thing is like you get yourself in that environment, but you're doing it in a way where you don't actually have to put up money. You're adding value to them in a different way, and then they want you on the yachts. And that's something an everyday person can do. And it could even be the guy that's on the street smoking the rocks that do what you do right now, because if I want you to explain that, because you've impressed me so much, Zach, in the way that you put yourself in those scenarios without actually having to really like do anything special. Like it's not like you're the one dishing out, hundreds of thousands of dollars from your own pocket. You're finding different ways and angles to get into those social circles that the everyday person can actually do.
We call that value arbitrage. You're doing value arbitrage.
Yeah. So the value arbitrage that I've understood is just being able to have even with just having a smaller social influence, you can utilize apps like Tabler to be able to host a table. And that allows you to bring a social dynamic and then leave a little bit of an ad, kind of intriguing somebody to come and be your guest. So you have the tables that would be dinners or yachts or clubs. So those three different social dynamics then allow you to be able to, get on a table with somebody that's at the same caliber of being a promoter, advertising it, and then opening the opportunity for a social encounter. And as long as you have high profile individuals that are coming into assembly, they appreciate somebody putting in that legwork. So what I've done is just leverage my ability to use my social media, and then also in conjunction with that app, so then I can do assembly that they would like to pay for to just have a variety of guests so that they can mingle with. And, bringing that exuberance, bringing that energy, and then bringing the power of assembly is then the perfect combo to be able to have for somebody that is, an 8-figure, 9-figure person, where they want to just taproot in a different sense because they have a younger mastermind partner that brings that exuberance into their life, because they're like more on that business side. But if you get a little bit of the younger energy, it's a perfect blend for you to, create a good environment for, all ages.
Yeah. So by the way that I did those parties that were $500,000 to $1 million per party was my old mansion mate, Big Mike. He runs Advanced Nutrients, and it's a very counterculture business. It was the number one weed fertilizer. I should never smoke weed my whole life, but he had the number one weed fertilizer. So he had a business that was doing about $300 million a year. And so we would rent big fat cribs, we'd split it. But then what would happen is he would throw down the $500K or $1 million per party, and then I just get to be in on it. Now, I'm younger at this point. Okay, I was in my mid-30s. And so he likes the young hustler, because he's in his 50s at this point. So he likes having a young hustler around who's out meeting people and knows everybody in LA. And then I like the fact that he's got $300 million. And I like the guy personally as well. It's not just that, not exploitative. But the point being is like the fact that we can combine forces like that, a lot of guys don't realize that is like a young hustler has energy and time. An old head has money and experience. So that's a perfect marriage between the two of them. So that's one way to do value arbitrage. Another thing that guys don't realize is that through the learning of my content, if you have actually did what the fuck you were supposed to do and go out 4 to 7 nights a week for a couple of years, you are already a crack public speaker and a crack social media influencer. Because if you're actually out, the hardest audience in the world is fickle people at a bar or club. And so if you understand how to hold their attention, because you understand how to simulate emotion and how to hold attention and how to use your voice and sub-communication, you already have a $400-500 million asset in your personality using social media tools. Anybody who can go out and make it happen in a bar or club literally could be doing an 8-figure a year coaching business in anything that they happen to be good at, or any kind of social media influencing. And they could do that over, say, a 40-year career period, and they could be making at least $5 or $10 million a year over 40 years. That means that if you understand how to go out, if you understand what the fuck I showed you, you are already an 8 or 9-figure entrepreneur with untapped value. You're sitting on top of a fucking oil field, and you're not using it, and you're working at fucking Best Buy, and you're bitching that you can't make it to the fucking free tour. Sorry. Okay. So I'm an idiot. Okay. So the point being, he's just meeting me. He's like, who the fuck is this motherfucker? This is how I get, bro. I love public speaking. But the point being If you know how to hold attention, you can build social media. Because I already know what they're thinking. As soon as you got 8 million followers?
8.6.
As soon as they 8.6. Okay, so as soon as they see that you have 8.6 million followers, here's like, okay, about half the audience is like, oh, that's inspiring. I want to learn from him. I want to replicate what he's doing. I can do it too. The other half of the audience, here's what they do. They go, he has 8 million followers. I can't do it. As if they themselves couldn't build social media. Now, let's ignore the fact that you had the best programs and videos in the world on public speaking, communication, and social skills ever made, and that you're one of the few people that actually fucking learned that, and that you were part of a culture for decades, if you followed my stuff, learning how to communicate. But no, you can't figure out how to build a social media profile. But look, it's kind of like this, right? Say that you're sawing down trees, okay? You're sawing, and maybe you're getting 1 tree a day down. Here's what you got to do. Get it to where you can take a day off, stop sawing, and go sharpen the saw. Then come back and saw down 10 trees. The problem is a lot of these motherfuckers can't even take a day off. They can't even get a day off to go sharpen the saw. What would sharpening the saw be in this case? Build out your social media. Learn how to use the tools. Engage your brain. Look, for me, this has even less to do with like doing parties, making money, all that has less to do that you need to do a party. I don't need to do a party. I don't need to have a ton of cash. I'm not even driven entirely by that. You don't need to have an amazing social life. These are basic level things, right? Like, well, there's more important things in life than money. Of course there is. Of course there is. We all know that. But it's Maslow's hierarchy of needs. There's also things that I care about more than sleeping. There's things that I care about more than putting gas in my car. But if you haven't slept or put gas in your car, then I'm going to yell at you to go to sleep and put gas in your car. Making your first million is like basic normal shit. Go to sleep. Put some gas in your car. I get it that there's more important things, but if you haven't done that yet, you're stuck there. You're not going to go do your 4-year nature journey like what I just did, where you just abandon the world for 4 years and go through nature with your children if you can't afford to pay for it. Maybe you could do it in a van or something, but you see my point. So it's not even about that. It's about engaging your fucking brain. Like, is living in middle class that great? No. But you don't want to live in a cardboard box smoking meth giving hand jobs either. It's not that it's like the best thing in the world. It's that it's the basics. Like that, like as soon as we get away from being a millionaire and calling that good, and then we realize that that's like basic, that's when there's a shift in your brain where you stop making distance from yourself. You go, oh, that's normal. Because as long as everybody's living middle class, that becomes normal to you. It becomes accepted and your brain doesn't turn on. But if you see a group of people that are just living in a different way, like you said, a different layer of awareness, then you start to live in a different way. And the thing is, I know that your life is fucking sick, okay? Like, come on, bro. Tell us, bro. Like, you know your life is sick. Like, don't be afraid to offend people. This audience here, they are primed to be antagonized. Don't be afraid to antagonize, because what it does is that it cuts the kind of the wheat from the shaft, where what it does is like, okay, if you're that motherfucker that thinks you can't do it, you get pissed off, turn it off, fuck off, go away, fuck off. And then for the people who actually want to learn, they'll be inspired. So anything you can talk about balling out, how fun it is. You know, you're wearing a fucking you're wearing the same watch as me, but covered in fucking diamonds. Like, let's see it. Like, show them, bro. Like, how much does that watch cost?
This actually got for 63.
63K. Okay, so you got a good deal on it. So, but the point being, like, what's your most expensive watch you own?
259.
Okay, 259,000. Okay, so like people have to start normalizing that in their head. Now, did getting that watch make you happy all of a sudden that your whole life changed? Probably not. But it's the basics.
I think one of the most inspiring things is actually to help somebody else. Mm-hmm. And if you see somebody look at you for inspiration, it's just like, how can I flip that switch in you for that pilot light just to be a little bit brighter?
And bro, that's fucking beautiful. And we've all heard every fucking rich guy say that as a way to keep the masses out of the castle walls. Like, yeah, money doesn't matter, and I just want to help you. So if you're a little guy, just go help someone else, and that's the best. Let's go past that. Okay, let's talk actual fucking paper. Because the thing is, like, Richard Branson, whenever you ask him, like, what's the most important thing, like how he became a billionaire, it's like helping other people. Look, every video I do talks about helping other people because that's the spiritual side. I do a lot of very, very deep spiritual topics in these videos. But you also got these fuckers that are lazy. They're fucking lazy. They're stuck in a rut. And if we tell them the best thing in life is helping other people and playing and riding on your bike in a sunset, they're not going to go make any money. They're just going to go, like, maybe give $1 to a homeless guy, and then they're going to sit there in their own filth. So let's talk ballin', okay? And even if it's not your favorite thing in the world, let's just talk about it and why that's a normal thing.
As far as like balling in general, like you want me to, tell people.
I mean, bro, you just told me some of the craziest fucking stories before we started this thing. Now, we don't need to get too not PG, but you're living in much, okay? Because you're doing the same thing all these rich motherfuckers do. I just like to help people, bro. Like, come on, bro. You didn't get 8 million followers because you just like to help people. So, like, let's be honest, okay? And it's okay because this audience is receptive to that.
So, I mean, you want me to say the whole reason why I started, building my brand? Or
Sure.
I mean, the main reason I wanted to build my brand is for social presence and having a better social profile and dating. So that understanding was like that ego crush when you get that relationship break and then they have more followers than you and you have no brand at all. And I kind of had that ego like smashed in going like, oh, I didn't feel like I was adequate enough. So then it was just spending enough money, ended up getting to the snowballing, spending $160,000 on your own brand and knowing you're worth it and then kind of balling out. So then I, before they had Meta blue check verified, I thought in my mind, blue check pussy hit different because I was like 10,000 followers verified public figure. I got to be, at the top of my game, social alpha, so that I can lure that into my life so I can, improve my odds of, mating when I want to get into a relationship that's worthwhile. So just have a higher tier, higher caliber brand built woman.
Cool. Okay, I like it. And what are the parties like? What are the yacht parties like? The girls are there.
It's getting progressively better. Even here in LA, I've realized that I have that pass. I can literally walk into a lot of things, end up meeting people, be at the top of my game. And then they're like, oh, we accept people like you and there's more people like you. And I'm like, well, I'm just from Wisconsin moving to Miami 2 years ago. So to be, that welcomed into the higher 1% of 1%, it's like a fun coupon. You're like, you accept this coupon called Instagram. I mean, I remember the first time moving to Florida and actually getting veneers, getting a full sponsorship for, 31,000. I realized like the power of like, hey, do you accept this coupon? I walked in, said, hey, I saw an influencer give a testimony on her teeth experience. She has 1.2. At the time, I was like, I have 5. So what's up? You going to break me a deal? And it's that kind of leverage and power where you're like stepping into your new reimaged you, where you start feeling more baller and feel that power because you're like, wow, like the opened opportunities for somebody to just take advantage of self-development and brand building, their own personal brand, just starting in itself. But it's really like a vanity thing that kind of gave me that kick. It was like, oh man, like the relationship, if you want it, your social presence, that's a social alpha thing for you to be able to maximize off. So max lifing that and getting into the best, finest, higher quality, like opportunities in the playing field are leveled at the top because that's where all the girls want to be. They want to be with the high net worth individuals and they like the social proof people and the brand build people. So it's like in Miami, I tap rooted the Miami swim lines and being able to do Miami Swim Week and just walking just for the fact of being a marketer before a model and then just going and getting a Rolodex of women in the back going, what's your Instagram? And then getting it in a list so that actually can build out a framework of, actual social dominance because they're seeing I'm not just a model. I'm actually there, plucking talent as well. I could end up being an agency at some point because, I got a Rolodex in an Excel sheet of, just women I can network with. And then I leverage that and then, bring that into the yachting scene. And that's just the next level for me is because I can host and then bring, a $7 million yacht, usually typically charters 20,000, 25,000, 25,000 just to pull up to Kiki. That's a 50 grand night. And I can set that stage and then prime an open opportunity for the game to be, played at a higher level. So it's crazy to be able to like experience that in full force, even so drastically and quickly, because, it's just the game developing further and further.
Yeah. And this is the thing that I want to reinforce with everybody too. Okay. So there's a portion of the audience who just gets it where they go, oh, cool. I've learned fundamental foundational social skills to where I can go to any bar or any daytime environment. I can meet somebody without a mega yacht. I've learned that. And then now that I've learned that and absolutely mastered it to where I can do it effortlessly, it would also just be fun. Not that I need it. I can meet somebody on the street anytime that I want. I don't need a mega yacht. But life is short. Why not go have a little bit of fun? I've done parties on yachts. They're fun. I don't need that. But then you see another portion of the audience who's like, as soon as you even mention something like a yacht, they start having pain body attacks and they start getting angry because they believe that that's not for them. And they're like, I thought that you were my ally because you showed me how I could be broke. And then I could go meet people. And I'm like, of course I showed you how you could do that broke. I also did that broke for many, many years. I had a great social life while broke. But that doesn't mean to permanently stay broke. I also have taken years off of working. I'm not a money-centered person. It's somebody who takes 4 years away from working and just goes in the forest with their family is not a money-centered person. I believe there's many higher values than money. But it's weird. Like, it's weird where, why can't we just talk about money and not have people throw it in our face of like, well, what about spirituality? You know, what about just like loving a sunset? I'm like, you can also do that. Like, why is it mutually exclusive? I find that so weird. It's like somebody playing basketball and they could only do offense and they don't look at defense, or they only do defense and can't look at offense. Like, we can look at everything. So I remember when I was younger, my main goal was to master social skills. That was in my 20s. And I started putting out these videos around 28, and I said, here's where I want to be by age 35. And I call these the like man in your prime videos. That's what I called it. And basically what I said is that by the time that you're 35, yes, you have a social skill set built to where you can meet anybody, anytime, anywhere. Anybody who you want to meet, you know how to do it just effortlessly. You know how to do that. But why not take those same social skills and then use that to be either an ambassador for a brand, social media influencer to get part of the new gold rush? I mean, what's left? What's there going to be left to make money in other than either AI or personal brands within, say, 20 years from now? Like, other than personal brands and AI, what will even be left? So why wouldn't you already be either A, doing an AI company, or B, doing a personal brand? Like, why wouldn't you use the same social skills that you built out there and then parlay that into something more? When I went and met Big Mike and we started doing those huge parties, I parlayed those social skills and personal brand into doing those huge parties. But then it's always like guys would see me doing this and they think that's not for me. Like, that's for Owen, that's not for me. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm half retarded. Why would you possibly, like, look at me? You really believe that this is just for me? Why? Because I talk loud? Like, why don't you position yourself as the winner in this as opposed to the loser in this? Now, something that I noticed about you is like, I get a sense just from having met you that you actually have that this is for me mindset. Ty has that too. Ty very naturally has that. Like, you seem to have a mindset where you're like looking for a solution and doing the calculus on how to get your intended outcome rather than playing the victim and crying in your fucking sleep. Right? You tend to have that. It's just a sense that I get from you.
Of course, and that was just strengthened with, you know, a peer group that had more clarity on their goals. Because if you have people that have a destination, it's going to be a lot easier to be able to transition to that mindset. So I think really what happened when I had that, like, you know, click on moment was probably like 5 years ago when I transitioned out of stop working and then started networking full time and realized that I'm just one connection away. I'm one person away. And that glint and that fire in your eye, it's just like The Shining. You become a lighthouse at some point because you're so filled up with the positivity of the like subconscious minds that you're pooling next to. It's just a confidence transference through osmosis. So I think one of the biggest thing that really cut me from a different cloth from being from Wisconsin was actually going to places like Los Angeles, going to places like Chicago and New York, and going to like major cities like Miami. Because that, and even Dubai or London, you know, getting more, you know, culturally exposed to cities and then being in a bigger pack that just had that ambition. Because if you keep surrounding yourself with the same people, you're going to 100%, you know, be with the chickens and then not know where the eagles are at. But if you want to roost like an eagle, you got to start being around them, because otherwise you're just going to think like a chicken all day.
I'd say that. I love that. And that's what I did too. In addition, putting the work in based on what it is that you're learning. Like, have you gotten better with execution and implementation?
Of course. And then understanding, just like going back to the basics. Like, if every person in America knew that just to utilize their 700 credit score to get funding, it goes back to the basics of Monopoly. Who do you get money from? The bank immediately. So that basic principle, even just like having structuring and tightening into systems, you have a mentor come in and tell you, like, yes, get your social skills because nobody can take them from you. Yes, get your financial skills, but what financial skills are they really teaching you in school? I think credit's probably the best thing that actually was that slap awakening. Like, hey, go ask for the money that you want. You want 10x, you're going to complain about a job. You want the leg up? Go get the money from the bank. Get your credit right. And it doesn't cost that much to, you know, add an authorized user, get a trade line, and then get that established history bumped up, get to 700, get your credit card stack, and go get 22 credit cards. Because that's the biggest thing that I've really got like hijacked somebody from the very beginning. Like 30-second prep talk. What's your credit like? Fix that. Go get money from the bank, bro. Why are you crying that you're working for $12, $15, $20 an hour? You can go get a 100K, 300K credit line just based off of, boosting your credit with a little bit of money that you're making.
Yeah, and then you put that in real estate. Where would you like to put it?
Yeah, I like to play real estate because that's just what I kind of like got exposure to. Then diversifying into crypto. It's not for everybody, but that's where I kind of got my, diversification. I went, fix and flips, did painting, got into Bitcoin right away for illicit purposes, trying to get into the black market. Found out that I didn't need to buy what I wanted to buy, saw my money move in the market, had that aha moment, and then put the crypto money back into real estate, pulled it back out of real estate, put it back into crypto, and then just kind of saw that like domino effect of like, okay, well, when the market's not moving in the bear market, I could be in real estate, still get some appreciation, liquidate that, put it back in the crypto market. And every time you hit that new domino, you get that next level of dopamine. You're really like, oh man, I'm onto something here.
Mm-hmm.
You just got to catch that awareness, like get your credit right, go ask for the money. If you want to get a solid thing, diversify.
Mm-hmm.
You could do stocks, you can do crypto, you can do real estate, but just diversify in it and then get your feet wet. I think real estate's probably the most sound that most people end up making their millions in because it's traditional. And then you work with the bank, you're not on a credit, you're on an equity play there. Because then you start getting equity in your property, and then the bank starts to go, all right, well, how much can I lean against?
I like it. And you know what I like about you? You do something fun with the money, right? You see all these old motherfuckers that are just sitting there living their shitty ass fucking life. I know some of these guys, like, they're just some old piece of shit, just like, I'm like, you're boring, bro. Like, do something fucking fun. Like, I always say that it takes 5 years to even learn how to spend the money, like, to actually learn how to spend it properly. Like, I could run a course just on how to spend money. It takes time to learn how to spend. Like, people think that once you get the money, that's the end. You got to learn how to fucking spend it. You got to learn how to have fun. I say there's 3 phases. First, you got to make the money. Then you've got to learn how to actually take yourself out of the business so that you have some time to go do stuff. And then you've got to learn where to spend it. And then in addition to that, then you've got to learn how to change your psychological state to even enjoy it. Because if you've been working for so long, you can't even have fun anymore. Like my main goal at age 45 is to be as much like a 5-year-old as humanly possible. Like I want to be like a little kid. What does that mean? A little kid has the ideal state of consciousness, but then have that ideal state of consciousness as an adult with adult level wisdom. What is life if you can't just scream the word fuck? You know what I'm saying, right? If I can't, fuck! Okay, if I can't grow my beard like a fucking moron and just say what the fuck I want and do what the fuck I want, then why did I make money? What was even the fucking point, right? A guy like Mark Zuckerberg, who I feel really bad for, I think is one of the poorest people in the entire world. Look how stressed the guy is. He's one of the most poor people in the world. So stressed because he's being just judged from every which direction. He can't even enjoy his life. So it's not just about making cash. It's about how much you enjoy. That's what I always admired about Ty. And people will always say this and that, the other thing about Ty. I'm like, yo, every time I see Ty, he's having fucking fun. Like, who do you know who's loaded that has more fun than Ty Lopez, if we're being honest, right? Like, have you ever seen anyone having more fun than Ty? And people are like, yeah, but I bet you those Lamborghinis don't make him happy. I'm like, no, I know Ty. They do make him happy. And you want to know why the Lamborghinis make him happy? Not because it's status, but because he has the psyche of a 5-year-old. Okay, imagine if you were 13 and you had your own Lambo. That's like Ty now. Like, he's like, Owen. First day he ever got a Lambo, actually. He actually met up with me. This was before he was even famous. And he's like, it was a black Lambo. He's like, bro, I got a Lambo. I'm like, okay, cool. He grabbed me from Earth Cafe, right? And he's like, get in. And he's like, driving me around. He's like, this is the shit. Like, he's like so happy just driving it, And that's the main thing. It's not just about buying the Lambo and then just being like taking a photo in front for other people to look at it. It's about actually having fun and enjoying it. Or, a big one for me was realizing I love the outdoors and actually studying the outdoors. Like, I basically have, and even my kids have it, memorization of the entire U.S. map. I have almost the entire U.S. map memorized, all the different highways, all the different times of years, places to go, places to stay, gear that you need to go there. Look, I make videos. I even know what kind of colors will look good that I'm wearing that will contrast well with the background. So that's the kind of thing where, you've got, and I know where every skill is until I blew my leg apart. But the point, like, I was in a wheelchair for 4 months this year, believe it or not. Yeah, there's like a wheelchair, like right over there somewhere. Like legit, I was in a wheelchair for 4 months, bro. It was crazy. And did the sickest parties in the wheelchair, sickest seminars in the wheelchair. I was going out to the club in a motherfucking wheelchair and I got to skip the line. It was sick. So that's what I'm saying is like you've got to actually enjoy your fucking life. There's an art form to having fun. And that's about self-state pumping, your state of consciousness, giving to other people like you were saying before. So I view it as a larger picture. Spiritual foundation is your capacity to enjoy life and to be tapped in. Then actually making money allows you to have greater adventures and to expose yourself to more. Getting around better people means that you're in a creative space as opposed to a coping space. And then you do something and you leave a legacy. And then the legacy. So now when you're about to die, you look back at what you did something fucking awesome. And then you can show this to your kids, right? God created human beings to not just sit there and be miserable, but to give to others, yes, for sure, but also to receive God's love and to actually see the beauty of life. Life is meant to be enjoyed. If someone made you a Thanksgiving dinner, they don't want you to be pissed off while they made you the dinner. God created this beautiful world. Go fucking see it. Go fucking enjoy it. Have some fucking, imagine you made all this shit and people don't even enjoy the fucking thing. And you're like, I made this for you. And they're like, man, I'm just fucking sad. I smoke fucking drugs. I'm fucking sad. And you're like, what the fuck are you doing? Go enjoy it. Put down your crack pipe. Stop giving hand jobs to old guys and go to fucking national park. What the fuck are you doing? But they don't think to do it. And it's a trance. It's an actual fucking trance that people are in. So that's what I like about what you guys do is you guys have fun. That's why I like you guys. You have fucking fun. That's why I like Ty. He has fun. There's a million entrepreneurs I could learn from that are boring. Like Ray Dalio. Look, I like Ray and everything, but look, I love Ray, okay? Like Ray's amazing. We all love fucking Ray Dalio. But his book Principles is like, I have learned that you want to be a good person and you have to have some good investments. And it's like, bro, this is boring. Like, come on, Ray. Like, tell me what you really think. Like, do an imitation of like some dude from the Chinese Communist Party that you dealt with. Like, show me an imitation of it. Do your best imitation. But he can't do it because like, it's like, I'm Ray. But it's like, that's not even rich, bro. You're broke, homie. You're fucking broke, bro. If you can't enjoy your life, I don't care how much money you have. Okay? You know, and I'm sure that Ray enjoys his life to whatever extent, but like, I can't do it, bro. Like, I can't, bro. I can't just sit there like, okay, hello, everyone. My name is Ray, and I will teach you my foundational principles. And I like principles, but it's like, come on, man. Like, have fun. Like, tell me what you really think. Like everybody knows what they really think, but everyone in the world is so uptight. And then we lose our capacity to have fun. And as we lose our capacity to have fun, life just gets away from us and we're fucked. But speaking of fun, so you run an OnlyFans agency, like a baller one. So you probably have a very, very fun life.
It's definitely a fun job. Creators Inc. We're the largest OnlyFans agency in the world. So we're way more than that, though. We're one of the largest influencer agencies in the world. And kind of what we do there is, for my job is I network influencers with other people and blow them up. Right?
I want to say that we all know why you became an OnlyFans agency.
It's
But anyway, go ahead. We don't only do OnlyFans, right? I did it for business reasons.
Of course
you did.
There's so many things that really go into it. But really the main thing that
I'm sure there is many things going into it.
All right, but here's the thing, okay? Guys will pay for like sex sells, all right?
Uh-huh.
It does, right?
Yeah.
It's proven. But we have PG-13 girls that are just posting pictures in bikinis making $100,000 a month. I mean, OnlyFans is a modern day gold mine, but there's so much that goes into it. So the way we blow up our girls and drive traffic to their OnlyFans is by bringing in other big time influencers and artists. So what guys don't want to make videos with hot girls, right? Mm-hmm. So then it's just the gateway to bring in the big artists and the girls to then collab with them, and that drives traffic to their OnlyFans. And it's just a domino effect from there. Mm-hmm. We just do it on all platforms. But
How old are you now?
I'm 26.
Okay, so when did you start this?
We started in 2020.
Okay, so you've been doing this for 4 years.
Yeah.
You started at 22. What'd you do before that?
Before that, bro, you don't even want to know.
No, I do want to know.
I was living in Ohio 4 years ago in my mom's basement, bro, just trying to figure it out.
He was wanking it to OnlyFans 4 years ago.
It's crazy, bro. Like, we work with the top porn stars in the world, and it's like, we work with the top celebrities in the world, and it's like, yeah, I was watching these people back home, Ohio, fucking like thinking like, how am I gonna get out of this basement? What am I gonna do? And I had
He just wanking in the basement. He's like, I'm taking over this shit.
But ultimately, how I got into OnlyFans is kind of crazy, bro. So I moved out here. I knew nobody, so I just started networking. I would go to different influencer events, like how I met you guys. I would go out to different bars where I knew there would be influencers at, talk, and really my gift to be able to get to where I was being able to socialize with somebody and add value and just really connect with someone. And just like me, I walk up to everyone. If I don't know someone and they have a camera and they're recording, I go introduce myself because that's someone in the industry of what maybe we can work. There's some synergy. So take the opportunity, go talk to people. Don't be just closed mouths, don't get fed, you know? So like go talk to people and introduce yourself. And, you know, that's kind of how I made it to where I am now. It's crazy.
So what I like about what you're saying is that, and again, for me, what this is that you're choosing to engage.
Yeah.
Okay. Like that's my basic statement in my mind is, are you choosing to engage or are you not choosing to engage? And look, some people become a billionaire, some people become a millionaire. Some people just, I don't know, have like an $80,000 a year little small business, but that meets their needs. Whatever someone decides to do, I don't care. What I care is that they engage. Like my biggest thing is this spaced out look that like 99% of people have, where they're spaced out, and then they all start complaining, and then they vote in like fucking Joe Biden and shit. Like it's like it's okay. I won't go. It's like
I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that.
You know, it's like they vote for like communist type governments and socialist type governments because they don't position themselves in the winning circle, and as a result of that, they feel that they're the effect of life rather than the cause, and they feel that there's a limited pie that they can't be a part of. And especially for me, like as a Canadian, the whole thing that attracts me to America is the can-do spirit and pulling yourself up by your bootstraps. That's what attracts me. It's the fuck you to people trying to control you or trying to limit your fucking freedom. Fuck off, you know, and saying, I got this shit, get the fuck out of my way. And seeing a vision and a path and fucking doing it, being at the cause, not the effect. That's what America is. And people forget that. Like, it's like people from this country literally went to war against Britain because they tried to fuck with their tea. And then 2020 comes like, oh, lockdown, all good. Yeah, just lock me down. Yeah, govern me harder, daddy. Yeah, put it in me, daddy. Like, what the like, your fucking ancestors fuck shit up over some tea. Now, look, we have a political system where we don't have to fuck any shit up. We can do it politically, non-violently. But why don't you speak up and say something? But people just get locked down. They just sit there like bitches, fucking locked down. They don't even want to do anything. They're spaced out. It's like, bro, nobody's holding you back. You're spaced the fuck out. Why don't you want to do anything? So that's what I like what you're saying is you're like, no, I'm sitting there whacking off to girls on OnlyFans. And I thought, why whack off to the girls from OnlyFans when I could hire them? So you left your parents, you stopped whacking off to the fucking OnlyFans. You could maybe time to time, you know? But the point is you stopped doing it predominantly. You got out of the basement. You like emerged from the basement. You're like, oh shit, this is sick up here. Where's these OnlyFans girls at, bro? You know, right? You probably thought to go back and like get one last in it. You kept going. Went down to Miami, like fuck start talking to people and shit. You're like, I will not whack off to you anymore. I'm gonna fucking hire you. That's what I fucking love, bro. That's the shit.
Hey, I think
that's the shit, bro.
so.
Stop wanking and start hiring them.
You know what? The thing is, though, a lot of people are scared to take risks. That's what I've learned, you know? They're always told, like, oh, maybe someone will tell them one little thing, like, oh, that doesn't sound like it's going to work, or that's delusional, right? Well, sometimes you have to be a little delusional. You have to take those risks, because if you don't go and attempt, you'll never know what could have been. So that's what I always like to take risks. That's how I try to live.
Yeah? Okay, so when you were in the basement, did you know that you want to take risks? Like, what caused you to emerge?
So I always wanted to do social media. So I was a wrestler, and right, I was #1 in the nation in high school. There's no real money in wrestling unless you go into the UFC, right? So I brought wrestling to online, and that was part of my entrepreneurship with Creators Inc. of how I got in, right? So something as little as Andy, the CEO of Creators Inc., he was a state champ wrestler. I was #1 in the nation. He saw value in that because he knows wrestlers have different mindsets. They're hard workers. They won't stop, you know? We can take it all. And that's what he saw that inside of me, and then he kind of installed me to be the person I am today with everything I'm doing.
Okay, so that's very inspiring.
Yeah.
So what made you emerge from the basement?
I was just tired of fucking being there. My life was depressing. I was living in my parents' basement. I was bored. I didn't know what to do. I was like, man, I'm getting old. I got to figure something out. You know, I can't stay here. And I was like, I wanted to surround myself with more like-minded people. And
Like-minded people.
Where I was at, there wasn't any of that. You know, something as simple as me going to the gym, for instance, and recording, everyone's looking at me. While here in LA, that's totally normal. Like-minded people. So more business opportunity. I had to get a break. I had to get out of there. I knew that was not the place I wanted to stay.
Yeah. So what gave you the idea for the agency?
The agency, it was just, man, OnlyFans came out in 2020. This girl came to Andy. She said, hey, like, I'm broke. I found this thing called OnlyFans though. I don't know how to work it. So then Andy came in and he said, okay, like, how can we scale this? So then he was able to develop a full chat team for it. We have over 1,000 different employees, like 700 different account managers. Like, it's just crazy what he was able to do. Now, I don't know the full structure of what he had done with that. But my role in that was just really just bringing my connections, blowing up the girls, getting the girls, you know what I mean? And then marketing, social media, and different backends.
What were some of the best ways to engage with the girls to get them to join your agency? Because they don't necessarily, I mean, I've known a lot of girls that do OnlyFans, and a lot of them do want help with an agency, but they probably have a lot of different people coming at them. What were some of the things that made them want to go to you?
I feel like first impression is everything in appearance. But ultimately, we are factually number one on paper now. So everyone wants to be with the best, right? Everyone wants the best brand of.
How about when you weren't the best?
When we weren't the best, I mean, it was just refusal to give up. Always looking for new ways, you know, like cold DMs, right? One way, and then we would hire people to DM for us, so we would get like these large accounts, right, with millions of followers. Well, when someone DMs someone from like that page, then the girls it has a higher response rate. You know?
Okay, so DMing. So again, I'm envisioning this video for somebody who's just sitting in their shitty fucking job. And so it's what I like to do is a combination of I want to show where the promised land is and describe it because I want to piss them off, okay? Because people basically operate through getting pissed off. That's pretty much how it works, right? So I want to antagonize, I want to mock, I want to make angry. Because if all their friends are not making them angry for being in that lifestyle, they're stuck there because they think they've made it. But if we start going, this sucks, bro, this shit sucks, that makes them uncomfortable, and then they start to seek comfort because most people that are broke and middle class are comfort seeking, right? They're looking for predictability. So you've got to make it where it's uncomfortable. So the other thing is I want to show the promised land, but I also want to show a little bit of the nitty gritty of what it takes to get there. Like my story as an example was, I've been hustling since I'm like 9 years old, but when I got in this hustle, what happened was I started doing a lot of different social skills work, like social skills exercises. My audience knows what that means. And then from there, what I did was I started doing free trainings. I started teaching people for free. Now, it's crazy how many people, when I tell them to go do a bunch of free work, like, I can't work for free. Well, then why the fuck would anybody fucking hire you? You suck. You know what I'm saying, right? Free, like you pay money to go to college doing some kind of free work that could maybe make you a lot more money later. You got to practice somehow. Like it's crazy in LA. Like you see people who think that if they just go on YouTube, they're going to get 10 million followers overnight. I was talking to a girl this weekend who's like, yeah, so like my goal, she went to Ty's thing. She's like, my goal is like, I'm going to like do like a TikTok and then I'm going to like make an AI bot of myself and then I'm going to be a mogul. And like the AI bot's going to like put out my brand and then I'm going to become like a giant mogul. And then I started talking to him like, yo, you got to work. And she would just tune me out. She's like, why would I do like that? Like, you're like one of those losers that has to work. Like, I just like make my AI figure myself and make millions. And she only has like 12,000 followers. She's a beautiful girl actually, but only has 12,000 followers. But she thinks that the AI bot's coming and she's going to stop working, right? So on one hand, you have like these like manifestation narcissist types. Then on the other hand, you have people that are just comfort seeking and they don't understand that you have to find a lane of something that you could do, and then you got to put a little bit of work in. What was it like? Like you had no money, like you're in the basement, you're whacking off. Sorry, man, I'm kidding. But whatever, And then I'm just saying what I'd be doing, and then basically like, so you're getting off to OnlyFans, and then
this guy, man.
Sorry, man. So, okay, so you're doing that, and then you're like, fuck this shit. You're like, no, I'm done. You like take the hanger, you like throw it against the fucking wall. You're like, fuck this shit. You like take your weed, you throw it in the garbage. You take the fleshlight. You're like, no, fuck you. Right? You're like, I will dominate this shit. Right? You come out of the basement. Like, what was the first thought that you had? Like, I'm gonna build an agency. I'm gonna start talking to people. Like, what was the first thought that you had in your mind? And like, what were some of the first steps? And what are some of the harder part of those first steps?
So number one for me was relocate because there in Ohio you can't really do an OnlyFans agency. So location is everything, right?
So you knew you were going to do the agency.
I didn't. I had no idea.
Okay.
I had absolutely no idea. I knew I wanted to do social media. And from a time of not having no social media to what I have now, it's just crazy. But anyways, so I was just like, I have to go. There's no one else is doing what I'm doing here. You know what I mean? So then I moved out here and I just literally
Yeah, but did you have a little bit of success before you moved? Because not everyone has the money to move. Like, not everyone live in their fucking parents' basement.
I had
could just move to Miami. Like, you know what I mean? So we got a small chunk in here a little bit.
I had like $10,000.
Okay, at 10 G's saved up.
Yeah.
Where are you
Yeah.
working?
Where was I working?
Yeah.
I was working at LA Fitness when I first moved out here for
Okay.
about 2-3 months.
Nice.
Yeah.
You
And-
stacked 10. You stacked 10 G's.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so you had 10 G's. Did you go to Miami off of that?
No, I'm not from Miami. I'm from LA.
Oh, sorry. Okay, LA. So you came to LA off of 10 G's.
Yeah.
Where'd you live?
Yeah. I lived right in Burbank. Yeah.
Nice. I like Burbank. I lived in a
that's cool.
motherfucking closet when I first came to LA.
Yeah.
Yeah, closet, big dope crib, but still was a closet.
Closets are expensive out here too, man.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, so I was living in the closet. Courtney Love lived in the house too. It was a shit show. They made a book about it. Okay, so then, so from there, okay, so you came out here on the 10 Gs. How much was your rent?
It was like 2,000.
Okay, so you had a runway of about 3 months. So you're like, clock is ticking. I got to make this shit work in the next 3 months or I'm fucked. Back in the basement, like. Sorry. Okay. Okay, so you knew, you're like, I'm not going back, motherfucker. Like you know, like, did you know? Because like even when I run my business now, I know that I have a runway, right? Like I know how much cash I have. I know how much time I can take off before it runs out. So did you know that you had a runway?
Not really, no, bro. Like, so I came into this as like just from social media, right? Andy literally came and grabbed me and taught me the way of how he did everything.
Yeah.
And basically, like, I do the same thing he's been doing for years. So I got brought into Creators Inc. like 2 years ago.
So it's somebody else's company.
Yes.
Okay, is it partly your company now, or you play a big role in it?
I play a huge role in it.
Okay, awesome. Okay.
I'm the right-hand man. Yeah.
Epic. I get it. Okay, so then as the right-hand man, you knew that you were going to get employed by them and you were going to help grow the business.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And he saw the value in it and what I had to offer.
How did you meet this guy?
Through social media. So he saw one of my videos online. I was saying he was a state champ wrestler, right? And because he valued that and he saw like, oh, they're hard workers, right? So then he reached out to me and then coached me into what I do now. And he really just took a risk. But it was because I put myself out there every day. I posted a video every single day. I was told, you know, it's like playing the lottery. If you want to be famous on social media, if you post every single day of the year, I promise you will see a result at the end of the year. And I did that. And I gained 150,000 followers in the year. So, I mean, there's a formula to things. You just have to not be lazy and put them in motion and just start doing them.
How many hours a day did you spend on social media when you were first starting?
I would post twice a day. I would go and find somebody that made a viral video and remake the same video with me. If it got 1 million views, I would remake it. It would get 1 million views until I was able to then come up with what I actually wanted to do, which is now the wrestling series.
Yeah. You still do wrestling now?
Yeah.
You still have a channel for that too? Like a
Yeah. That is like my main thing. Like I do Snapchat, YouTube, TikTok.
About wrestling.
Yeah.
So you do wrestling and the OnlyFans thing.
Yeah.
Damn, bro.
Yeah. So my personal brand is the wrestling. Take me down, get $1,000. That's my personal brand.
Really?
Yeah.
So if a guy can take you down, he gets a G.
Yeah.
Anyone ever get the G?
No, and I've wrestled all kinds of crazy people. I've wrestled Jack Doherty's security guard. I've wrestled
Oh shit.
Bradley Martin. I've wrestled.
You wrestled Bradley Martin.
Yeah.
And he couldn't take you down.
Nah. And tomorrow I'm going to be on Chito Rivera's podcast, a UFC fighter.
Yeah.
So now because of that, that's open windows where now people want to see me fight. And so now there's going to be a money offer fight knocking at the doors because no one has been able to take me down.
How old are you now?
I'm 26.
26.
Yeah.
So a little bit like what Jake Paul's been doing by parlaying social media.
Exactly like that. Exactly. Like
And realizing that while professional leagues have a beauty of their own in the eliteness of that, people also want to have a good time. If they like you and they want to watch you fight, they want to watch you wrestle, they want to watch you wrestle.
Right.
And you can make money from that.
Absolutely.
Okay, so are you monetizing the wrestling following that you have so far?
Yes.
How do you monetize it?
Snapchat is my biggest, I guess, breadwinner throughout the social medias. And then also YouTube. But so
ads.
courses, right? So different courses. I'm doing Fanatic Wrestling. It's the biggest wrestling course in the world, right?
How much does it cost?
So for me to do it, they like the partnership I have with them. So what they came to me, they're gonna give me 10K, and it's gonna be like a 60-40 split, and they're just gonna promote it for me, and it's on there with some of the best UFC fighter stuff, like Henry Cejudo's got his courses on there, different stuff like that. But I also am building my own course right now.
Okay, what would you say to somebody like I described? Because this video I created with in mind when I'm doing free events, and about half the audience is just a floating turd waiting to get flushed. And I love these guys. I love them. Like, I give a fuck, you know, and I see this and I'm upset. And then I realize that I'm very blessed because I'm exposed to great people. What would you say to somebody like that who's like, yo, like, I love self-help. You know, I've read Awaken the Giant Within. I've read The Power of Now. I've read Wayne Dyer. I've read Stephen Covey. I've watched RSD videos. I've looked at all these other self-help videos. I've watched the men's stuff. You know, like, I want to do something. Like, I want to take this knowledge and apply it somehow, but I just don't know how. Like, where do I start? What do I do? And they're stuck in this sort of tornado that they just can't get out of. It's this holding pattern they can't escape. What would you say to somebody like that?
I would say first thing you have to do is take a step. You have to put it in motion. You have to take it from thought to action, you know? You have to act upon it. Most people have all these great ideas, but they never go and act upon it.
Awesome. And then from there?
And then from there, after you make the first step, it's just connection after connection, little steps you find along the way. But if you don't take that first step, you're never going to find the next step.
I like it. What would you say about that question?
I would say that you have to utilize your time and energy, and you have to properly calibrate your dopamine reward system. I think that's the most important part.
It's amazing.
Because it's just, I see there's too many people out there now, and there's too many opportunities out there, especially in the US. Like, am I going, like, is this accurate that in China, like, they make the vapes, but they're not allowed to use them? And then they
Wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, and then they send them to the US.
Yeah, like fentanyl.
Yeah, it's crazy. And so it's like, I think there's so many people out there that have ruined their dopamine reward system, and that truly is the key to being a normal human being. It's like, you look at dogs, right? Like, just normal dogs, right? Dogs that don't have access to drugs, they don't have access to, you know, vapes. You know, these, like, when a dog sees another dog, like a male and a female, like that, like, if you leave them together, like, they're having sex. Like, they have a great sex
I love
life.
where you're taking this.
Like, the dog, like, when the dog sees food, he's super excited to eat that food because he's about to get that hit of dopamine, right? When a dog's in a dog park, the dog is having a blast. It's running around having a ton of fun. There's no dog in that dog park that's not having fun. And so it's like, yeah, there's one version of it is you go out and, you know, you socialize, but you smoke weed before the event, and then you go there and you've just screwed your whole dopamine reward system, and now you don't socialize the right way. And then you go home and you're like, whoa, man, like, is it me? Is it them? And you're thinking of all these different scenarios where in reality it's like, just use your dopamine reward system in the right way. Don't get sucked into society and the norms and the trends and what everyone else is doing, and, you know, the challenges on TikTok and what. Like, I was with like these, like, this group of like younger generation, I mean 18, 19, 20, 21-year-olds on the yacht that you brought us to, and they're like, yeah, you know, I started vaping when I was 15 because there was a challenge in high school, and now I've been on it for the last 4 years. It's like, oh, great. Like, give your dog the vape. Let's see what happens to the dog. Like, the dog's not going to be excited to eat. The dog's going to starve themselves. They might end up in the hospital. They might end up dying, right? So I think the simple equation here is just do what's normal. Like just don't get sucked into society and what is now becoming the societal norm in the generation that we're seeing, you know, being raised up. I'm a Gen Z. So, you know, I was in the cusp of it. I was born in 97, which if I was born in 96, I'd be a millennial. And so I've seen the transition, right? And there's a lot of studies about how millennials and Gen Zs are very different. Right, that's a very, you know, there's a lot of science and you know, there's studies and stuff behind that stuff. So I think that's what it is. It's the dopamine reward system. You know, just don't fuck your dopamine reward system up. And if it is fucked up right now, just cold turkey. Like, get out of it. yeah, you might feel bad for a couple of days, but just realize like it's the right thing to do, right? Because we are just like animals, right? Obviously, you know, we have a prefrontal cortex, we have some intelligence, but at the end of the day, it's like we're just like animals, right? So like, you know, just be a normal animal and you'll be fine, right? But you know, I think that, you know, that's my answer
some
to that.
stupid ass capitalist wants to get your money out of you by rewiring your dopamine system to buy their shit. So you've been pimped. You've been literally fucking pimped and you don't even realize it. And I want to hear more about the marketing work that you do. By the way, I want to go deeper on that. But I was curious if you had any thoughts about this as well.
Just as far as an action step that
As far as just somebody who's in a derp state, who watches self-help, but they're basically a keyboard jockey. Okay, in our community, we call those keyboard jockeys, like people who just like watch the shit, like theory junkies, and they want to apply it somewhere, but they don't even know how, and like what's holding them back, and what steps can they take just to start the fire, to ignite it.
the first thing I always tell people right away is that 30-second reality check of like, do you have access to credit? Because if you could build your credit, go ask for the 50K that you're making in a year in 1 month. And that's just the quantum leap on the awareness of focus on one thing, action step. How do I fix credit? Google, ChatGPT, figure out how to remove inquiries, figure out how to add an authorized user, get that first step building a relationship with the big brother. And then get that in your awareness that you just need a clarity on what you're going to do with the money afterwards, but just go ask for the money. And that's going to be the biggest kick in the ass. Is like, you're already working for it. Why don't you just go ask for it? Why don't you really like hone in on your skills after you get the money, get that money, put it into some self-development courses, and then get the mentorship or coaching to be able to do the action steps behind the capital that you're able to deploy.
Got it. Now, let me go a bit deeper. What happens if you get all that capital and then you wind up buying losing investments? Do you declare bankruptcy? Is it like what? And do you educate yourself on how to deploy it, or what do you do there?
I mean, obviously, you know, find a mentor like yourself and make sure that you're tuning in and tapping in to get the results from somebody who already has that laid out and has that experience, so that you're not just pissing away the capital, because you have a kind of that like one-time opportunity. I mean, some people screw up their credit, but that's still repairable. And that's the real reality, is like you have that ability to repair and get the awareness from somebody else that's done that industry.
Okay, so what would be an average amount that somebody could borrow if they did all that?
I mean, I would say the first thing you can do is get the high limit, the 10, 15, 20,000, depending on everybody starts at a little bit different. Sometimes they're set up with their
So you said get multiple credit cards. How many could you get in sum?
I mean, I would say at least get 3 majors. Get your Navy Federal, get your Chase, get your American Express, get your U.S. Bank.
Okay, and how much bank can you put together? How much money can you put together in total?
I would say as long as you have a 700 credit score, you're going to be able to pull 100 grand right there, 25, 25, 25.
Okay.
And then, you know, just going on the business credit line and getting an LLC, you know, you can create an LLC for free or for $150, and then put that same LLC on all those banks and have a business bank account, and then get a credit line based off your personal credit.
Okay, now let's talk kind of like above average results, average results, and then like a fuckery and what to do if you get fucked on this. So what's an example? Say somebody got about 100 G's, they put it in the right places, and then how quickly do you see that snowball? What kind of results see on a high end? What would be like a really optimal situation?
I mean, I would say the average person, as long as they have a 700 credit score with a 90-day game plan, they could end up with 100,000, 150,000, even 300,000, depending on how they're playing their cards right. And then as long as they have the
and what would they put that into? Real estate, crypto?
I personally like real estate because that foundation is monopoly. It's one of the most core-based things in almost every American's mind, is like, they played this game. Did you win at it? Because if you did win at it, you knew that you got money from the bank. You knew that you had to go around. You had to get more squares. You had to develop more houses. And it was kind of this game of longevity. And that was a long game, but that principle is still rooted in our child's psyche. Like, the philosophy is right in front of your face. Why don't you go ask for the money and start doing something that's kind of one of those base diversifications? People need housing. That's a high demand.
Okay, so let's say that you get 100 G's. Let's say that after a year, you're say up to 150, 300. You're saying that would be on a higher end of like what you've seen people do.
Yeah, I mean, you can get somebody coming out the bat with just like 150, 300,000, and that stepping stone is really the true nature of getting from 0 to $1 million, right? That's your checkers level.
Okay.
You got your bag like if you're going from the 1 million to 10 million, you're kind of switching up your game. And then your chess is like really seeing behind the scenes when you get your systems in place from 10 million to 100 million. But it's really like people understanding it's just the 0 to 100K that gives them the kickstart, because they're so stuck on the rat race from, I'm working this job all the time, I have no time to be able to do anything, and exercise their creative faculties. Like, go ask for the money. Then once you have it, don't be scared to find somebody that has exactly what you want. No like fluff. You want to find somebody that's going to take you for the results of already being an 8-figure, 9-figure entrepreneur, and their mastermind might cost you 20,000, but you're still going to have 80,000 of that to be able to, instill in these skill sets in yourself, and then understand, the power of you and having the capital deployed correctly with mentorship.
Got it. Okay. So basically what you're doing is you're going, you got 100 G's. Let's say that so you're working a job, right? You're working a job, say 40, 50 hours a week. Your job fucking sucks. You're living in a place for like 800 a month, maybe 2,000 a month on a high end. You're making like, 30, 50K a year. So now you go grab 100K, get some mentoring, and then you deploy it. Okay. Now let's say that you get back 150K in a year. You'd probably recommend that they keep working their day job until they get back both the principal and some money. Again, this is like, results vary here, but in a good situation, they'd keep working their day job, maybe while educate themselves in their spare time. Like,
Yeah.
how would year one look?
Of course. I mean, you don't want to just, but I mean, sometimes it works for people like that, where they put their back against the wall. And like you said, you moved out and you had like 10 grand and you were already, spending 2,000 a month. You had like a 5-year, like, or a 5-month like game plan where you're like, you could have been.
He was also fortunate because he parlayed. My understanding of what you said was that you parlayed your connection, your wrestling stuff into having a job, so the income was to some extent secured, right?
Yeah.
So what I'm concerned about with what you're saying, and I know that you have systems for all this, so I'm asking. Like, I just ask these questions because I know that you have the answers. If I didn't think you had the answer, I wouldn't ask. But basically, like, some guys might come in there, and then obviously the like his money, he knew what he was going to get to an extent. So even though it's scary to move to LA, he at least had some sense of what it was going to look like. Although I'd like to get more details from you. In what you're teaching, it's like the results will vary, and it might be a little bit more scary. And then also, like, do you just keep working your day job? But like, and then what do you do if like that investment fucking goes to shit? Or what if it kind of like flatlines? Like, maybe you got that asset, which is cool, but you're not really making a profit off of it yet. Like, could you give me more ways that this plays out, like for the typical person?
I mean, I 100%, I made sure that I was working my day job while I was transitioning into entrepreneurship, because I knew that I wanted that stability. Even though I was branching out and getting my own jobs, I started doing construction and making sure that, I was also working for 4 or 5 people. Getting fired actually gave me that aha moment of like what each one was doing. And I was like, wait a minute, you can generate leads online and you just pay for it. And then I go and talk to the sale, and then I get the money direct, and they cut me a check, and I can just create an LLC for $150, and that's what makes me a boss. I'm like, what? Why would I work for $15, $30 an hour? But at the same time, I kept progressively going from $12 an hour, $15 an hour, $20 an hour, hiring people, getting $1 to $3 off of human resourcing, and bring people in on cash jobs. And then having that entrepreneur shift, being like, wait a minute, I can just pay Angie's List or Home Advisor and get leads online and go close them. And that's the only transitional aha moment where I was like, this is what the boss knows. They know how to find the job. That's it. And you're getting, 60% of the job, and I'm getting paid an hourly wage. Like, that was the real transition for me, where I was like, wait a minute, I can get my own jobs, but then I still wanted that job security and kept working for other people. So then I had that on the back burner because of fear.
So how much did you have borrowed at that time when you were working those construction jobs?
I actually was just working in the cash game. I didn't even understand,
Oh, so you actually saved up cash a little bit to do your first investment.
Yeah.
So how much cash did you save up before you did your first investment?
My first investment actually was like 40,000 that I put in a land contract, because I didn't even have the awareness of being able to get into real estate outside of taxes, because I was so, naive to the tax game of reporting anything, that I was like, actually like, all right, well, how do I get the 2 years of history to be able to actually go get a house? Google, land contract, printed it off, ended up meeting the owner, seller financing, most beautiful relationship, private relationships. Having that opportunity to be able to hand somebody 40K, walk up to a triple story house, 7 bedroom and 3 bath, and, get the keys the same day, be zealous. But I was there to do a job. I was there trying to do a bid estimate going, you can leave it the way it is. I'll polish this turd. And that was the reality, is like, I was so zealous in that moment, but I kept waking up in that painting dream. Like, man, I'm working for somebody else. Man, I'm painting somebody else's house. And then it got to that point where I was like, I'm going to paint my own house. And when I got to the point of doing the estimate and then kind of, plugged into, there was plenty of people that probably would have sat in that situation and been like, oh, I'm never going to get a house because I don't have the 2 years taxes. Well, I got creative and figured it out. And that was that transition. But I still 100% was working for other people until I got that aha moment and the aha kick. And then even after I figured that out, being in the cash game, I didn't even figure out credit until later in life, where I'm just like, man, if I would have known that at 18 or 15, I could have been building and establishing, asking the bank for the same amount of money that it took me, slaving over, and then having the minion mentality, and then wanting to milk the clock, wanting to sit on the hours, like even in the restaurant industry, wanting to take the food or getting that comfort and being like stuck underneath the thumb of another person and clocking into a 9 to 5 that I didn't even want to show up. And that was the biggest transition for me, is I had to, have that type of siphon detachment to being connected to somebody who knew what they were doing, until I got that, like, oh man, like, this is how I get a little bit more up. And then once you get that first domino, it's just about hitting the right dominoes. And then it kind of is the tumble effect of you, becoming yourself and having that coming of age moment where you're like, wait a minute, like, you're a normal person. I'm a normal person. I can do what you're doing too. And just having it from that point of view, for actually just like mirroring somebody, it actually took 5 bosses for me to be in a construction industry to be like, wait, this is how these guys are doing it, just by seeing it behind the scenes. So it's a great opportunity to work with people that are higher level, because then you get the opportunity to kind of get the transparency in business.
Amazing. Okay, so then you had your first investment, and then how much cash did you see come out as profit from that initially, and then where did you deploy it?
I lived in the attic. I put $40K into restoration. I started getting OCD and gutting things and realized that I needed to rip out everything. 100-year-old carpet, knob and tube electric, plumbing screwed up. If you ever looked at lav and pull like plaster, I didn't realize when you rip the ceiling out that 30 bags of black trash end up coming out of the ceiling, and there's asbestos and you got to wear masks. And I'm like, man, is this crazy? But living humbly in the attic, having renters, having to kick them out, gentrify it, because I had to, clear each floor. It was $1,300 per unit. I bumped it up to $2,100. End up being $80K in, 2.5-year investment, slowly living in this house that was basically a crack dwelling. And
That's like to hear.
But in a good location near the capital in Madison, Wisconsin, college town, knew that I had kind of a gap in the market because I was a renter. I saw that open, like, whoa, room rate, you guys are only getting 450, 400, and I can literally bump it up to 700. In my mind, it was a no-brainer, pop in here, live humbly in the attic, and then start like renovating. But that was $80K investment into 65,000 in 2.5 years.
Amazing.
And
then you sold it?
Yeah, and it was crazy is having absence of awareness of what the true nature of that value was, because somebody came in, bought it for me 6 months later, sold it for $690. I sold my house. It was like $370. I actually sold it for $605, and then the guy came in after me, more experienced, sold it for $690.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, this guy didn't even do much different, but it's just that little bump in awareness and transitional difference, more experience, ended up knowing and gauging the market. And here I thought I was price gouging the market because I'm like, I almost got, 100% of my house. But it also was the most hellish story of like going through a bunch of different turnover. Always ended up cash flowing, breaking even because I was putting money back in and living for free. But, having, 5 people in a 7-bedroom house and having to deal with, the nuances of being a landlord.
Mm-hmm. And again, like always bringing it back to this, what I love about your story is that you engage. You made a choice to use your fucking mind. Like me learning social skills, that was also a decision to engage, not just to accept where I was at socially, but just choosing to wake my mind up. That's the major message that I have. Like whether or not someone's main focus is money, social skills, spiritual awakening, nature, travel, living life in whatever way they want. It's like, just engage your fucking mind. My grandmother, her dying words to me when I was 16, she was a great woman, honestly, a great, great woman. her dying words were, Owen, be the best at whatever you do, whether you're the Prime Minister of Canada or whether you're a garbage man, be the best at it. And what I took from that was she said, do your best. And it's like, just use your brain. Like, just always be engaging your mind and like dicking around with shit and trying stuff and experimenting and enjoying it. Like, enjoy it. You know, like when we first built YouTube, we got on YouTube before almost anybody was on YouTube. And as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, this is going to be fucking sick. Like, this is going to be so sick. This was before channels existed. As soon as I saw the epic squirrel and the fucking Star Wars kid, I was sold, bro. Like, I was like, this is going to be amazing. And we had at that point a multi-million-dollar business that was doing DVD sets. And our hustle was basically, we would record seminars. We'd go to this thing called Corporate Disc in Chicago. We'd have to pay all this money to record it and hire people to record it. We didn't have cameras like this. Then we'd have to, if you would have told me we'd have cameras like this back then, man, I would have been so excited. But, you know, back then we'd have to pay a lot of money to get the camera people to come in. We'd have to save up cash for it. It's crazy. Then we'd have to save up the cash to print the DVDs. We would create a cover. We would create the design. We'd print the DVDs. And then we'd sell them, you know, and it was like a mission from God, bro. Like, I never even questioned that this had to happen. It had to fucking happen. And I understood that, like there was no way I was going to just go get a job. That's not even something that's not even a thing. Like, I have friends that have jobs on occasion, and I'll be like, yo, let's go on this like vacation. And they're like, I got to work. I'm like, just tell me you're not working. And they look at me like, you're crazy. And I'm like, that sucks, bro. Like, how do you even do that? Like, you can't even take a vacation? It's crazy. So I just love the fact that you're using your mind to engage. Last question is, what if somebody does this and then the investments drop? That's not, because I see so many different videos on Instagram where they're talking about how you just borrow money and all of a sudden now you have money. But then you have guys like Dave Ramsey who says like never, ever, ever borrow money. It's just different ideology. And I understand there's like probably a lot of mistakes in his thinking, but part of his thinking is if you borrow money, you could wind up losing. What happens if you borrow that money and then the investment that you got, even with a great guru, and it goes down? Is there a way to recover and then try again? Or was that kind of your one shot?
I would leverage other people, because then if you understood the systems to go get other people money, then you can piggyback off of being a king builder early. Because if I have the opportunity to joint venture in real estate, you could diversify and mitigate risk by then collaborating. And that's the biggest thing is, you know, cross-pollination with who you're working with. If I had the opportunity to get, you know, everybody at the table the same opportunity for funding and we came equally together, we could diversify risk. And then that is an opportunity for us to come together and then actually gain from the insight of working with somebody. But if you're already down, I would still go back to working with people, because if one thing didn't work, another meeting, another person is a degree away from you having a better awareness and you to be able to say, hey, now that I know that you're just getting started in the credit game, I'm going to help you get your credit, help you get your funding. But I just want to help structure the clarity of your deal in Monopoly so that you can play the real estate game, get a fixed return. And because I brought clarity to your imagination and being able to execute, I just want a percentage. And then see where you can work an equity play for just bringing clarity to the vision by bringing that little bit of experience, because you had that first hurdle that you may have tripped over, but you're ready to hit the next.
So where do you meet these people?
Most of the people I always meet at network marketing events or some type of networking fashion, whether it be real estate, whether it be neurolinguistic programming, hypnosis, getting into the self-help development, getting into the Web3, cryptocurrency, anything that's relevant in the now, and then just understanding that if it costs a little bit to get in, it's probably more beneficial for you to pay attention, because people that pay attention. And if you're going to go and sit next to people, you know, at least get in the door, maybe not in the VIP right away, but then hang around the VIP lunch area. Hang around that, like, you know, their badges are different colors. So then you can at least get fixated on, you know, there's another level of a gateway, and that's just another stage for you to be able to get super saturated, where people are being accepting of you actually taking a number and building your Rolodex. Because as soon as you start building your Rolodex, that's the biggest way you could taproot any community. Like, I didn't know anybody in Miami. You know, within a moment's notice, you knew within a week, I knew people at the top, because we end up showing up at a podcast where Tony Robbins' main sales guy ends up following
Eli
me.
Wilhide?
Yeah, Eli.
One of my good friends.
Yeah, Eli ends up following me, and I didn't even meet this guy in person. And I look at him, and we're literally at a podcast, doing another podcast, and I'm like, this is literally the power of social media and the ability to just expand yourself, because if you go into those type of networks, people start to pay attention that you're showing up and where they're at. And that's the interconnectivity. We all met at a Thai event. We all went to an $80 million mansion. We knew what the vibe was. We knew where the Eagles were. And that's the true nature. That's like, if you want it like that life hack, go where the Eagles roost. Go where they're willing and accepting to you to be in a more social, dynamically diverse community, because that's just what brings more connectivity to your Rolodex and you building out you.
Have you ever gone out with Eli before?
I haven't yet.
He's fun to go out with.
Yeah.
You know, Eli would already be a billionaire by now, but he has so many girls that he can't. It's literally every time he sees me, he's like, yeah, like I've been meaning to do this, but then like, man, my phone just doesn't stop blowing up. I'm like, Eli, you got to just put your phone down, bro. Yeah, that dude, because the thing with Eli is if you look him up on Google, if you look up Eli Wilhide Sexy Santa, this dude is literally like mega fucking jacked. He's like this ultimate man stud who's also like the most charismatic guy as well. So it's just ridiculous. Like this dude is just ridiculous with this guy. But also like one of the most genuinely nice guys. You want to hear the story how I met him very briefly too? Okay, so I go to cryotherapy, which again is great. And I want to come back to some of your points, but this is a funny story. So I go to cryotherapy, and Eli's open about this. He actually used to have a drug problem. So I meet him at cryotherapy. He's open about all this. It's not a secret. So I meet him at cryotherapy, and he's like, yo, bro, like, you know, I'm Tony Robbins' top salesman. And like, I'm like, sure, you're Tony Robbins' top salesman, bro. I'm sure, bro. And he's like, no, I am. I'm like, okay. So he hits me up. But anyway, I'd had a breakup, and it's always funny how you can catch someone like to hang out with you, like if you've had like a hard day. And I had this like 2014, I had this horrible breakup. So I just wanted like someone to like cry on their shoulder kind of because I was such a mess. So I go meet up with Eli, but he's on massive amounts of drugs. So he go eat at 25 degrees at Roosevelt. And then he just sits there and he gives me like the most genius seminar I've ever heard because he's high. And I was like, this is fucking genius. I'm like, God, I miss my girlfriend. But he was like so high. And then we went into like the main area of Teddy's, or it's called Teddy's, like the main lounge area. And he was so high that he started like dancing up on the thing. And then he was dancing with security and all this shit. And then they kicked him out. And then Eli was like, let's go. And then he just runs up the street and he just starts running up the street like this. I'm like, this guy's fucking crazy, bro. So he just ran off. So I was like, okay, so clearly there's some impersonator of Tony Robbins' top salesman who's on massive amounts of drugs. And I just had a mandate with them. And I was like, well, what a night, you know? Who knows what could happen on a given day? But anyway, it turned out that he really is Tony Robbins' top salesman. So he sobered up. And after he sobered up, his life has just been shooting up and up and up. So it's amazing, his story. And we've shared this age before, and I find him really, really, really inspiring, and it's really, really fucking cool. So that's my story with Eli. We've been friends ever since. But let's go back to what you're saying. So I like what I like about what you're saying is a couple things. One of them is, and to be honest, a little bit about myself, but I have more other things too. I keep telling people to come to these free events that I put on. People don't understand that at some of the free events that I put on, some of the biggest social media influencers in the world created partnerships at those events with other people who they met. Now, back in that time, they're part of these little like these little like inner circle groups and layers and, you know, stuff like that. And they're just little dorks, but they actually keep hustling on it. Like, don't underestimate a motivated little fucking dork. Like when I see motivated little dorks, I'm like, yo, I'm a motivated little dork. So I know what you're about to become. And I'm like, hey buddy, like, the second that I see somebody who's motivated, I'm like, hey, come on up. Like, come up to my crib. Let's hang out. Because I know that motherfucker is going to crush it. That guy's going to be massive later, and he's going to help me out. So you always want to make social capital. That's like me with you. Back in the day when I first met you. You know, right? Like, I knew that you were going to kill it, so I was always very, very nice to you. Because I know that you're on the come up. So even when I barely even had fucking met you, right? You just had sex with one of my female friends. But other than that, I didn't know anything about you.
And that's exactly what happened with Marcel. And then when I needed a hand in 2022, that's how the sales agency came about. And now that's my most lucrative company. And
But I suspect that in our lifetimes, you will make way more money than I will. I mean this too, by the way. You will make more money than me. You really will. Because I'm fucking crazy and I'll just go in the forest. Okay, so I'm like, I got back to the forest.
That's a high standard.
Yeah, it's a high, yeah.
You've crushed it.
Yeah, I've done a lot of sales.
Crushed it.
Yeah, but you will make more money than me, and I know that. I know people that are on the come up because they engage. Their minds turn on. They are proactive. They are engaged in the process. You can recognize these people. Ty, I knew Ty was going to be huge. So as soon as I met Ty, I'm like, get on YouTube. Here, I'll bring my cameras over. Get on YouTube. Because it was obvious that he was going to blow up. But some people, they just never press the on button. It just never turns on. You know, then 2020 and shit happens. They just never turn it on. So what I like about what you said about meeting people at events, I tell people this all the fucking time. The other thing that I liked about what you said was getting near the VIPs and proactively approaching. Well, guess what we've been teaching you for years? Cold approach. The same skills that you learn. I tell people this. When I teach you cold approach, it's not just so you could get a nut, bro. It's so that you could actually learn how to engage. Like, I know that to most guys, like, I got a nut. Like, that's the most important thing in the fucking world. Like, got a nut. Like, there's when the nut ends, bro, in 7 seconds, and you're over it, there's the rest of life. And there's other reasons to learn how to talk to someone than just to get a nut. And a lot of the time, it could be to see that guy that's a VIP and to understand the structure of how to go and talk to them. And a lot of these structures are very simple. You have to have your inner issues worked out so you're not a trauma case who's a value leech trying to suck off somebody. Like, it's like we're all treading water and you're pulling down someone's leg trying to pull them under the current. So you've got to bring energy. If you're somebody who doesn't have any money yet, what can you control? You can be very, very, very proactive. You can have great fucking energy, great fucking charisma. You can know a ton of girls and introduce them. Come on, right? It's like, oh, I'm broke. I have nothing to offer. The bar's over there, motherfucker. There's 300 women in there. You could go meet at least 80 of them tonight. But they never think to do that, right? You don't think some rich guy, oh, I got 80 girls with me. You think they don't want to meet you and fucking hang out with you? But they don't think to do it. Just, I don't know, just 9 to 5 at Best Buy. You know, right? Just never immerse in the basement. Okay, so they never emerge, but at some point, everybody's got to put down the hand cream and emerge from the basement, bro. Every man has to emerge from their parents' basement. And the thing is, like, everyone has to do it. And then they have to press the on button, and they have to go engage people, control your energy, know a lot of women, have social connections, know places to go. Also, do you have a phone? Does the phone have a camera? Can you say hi to the camera? Hi. That's called social media. They don't even realize. People like Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, all these fuckers are spying on your phone. Like, you know what weird shit's gonna come up on the phone after our conversation, right? And it's like they're spying on your fucking phone so that they can profile you, so that you can distribute your content. Like, at this point in time, is being on other people's podcasts even as good as just making your own videos and having YouTube just distribute it to everybody? I'm not even sure. Look at Julian, how much Julian blew up this year. He wasn't on podcasts. He just makes videos. YouTube goes and spies on everybody. You know, but of course, Snowden is still like fucking stuck in Russia, but okay. So YouTube goes and spies on everybody and then basically distributes your content. But you couldn't go meet the girls. You couldn't turn on your phone and talk on your fucking phone. You couldn't read a book. You couldn't go to an event. You couldn't have an ambition. You couldn't Google how to get credit and how to put anything into real estate. You couldn't learn a little bit about coaching from me. You could learn about how to create some kind of marketing agency from Naeem. Couldn't do it. You just sat there. You fucking complained. You said it was a scam. You said it couldn't be done. You went, Ty Lopez, it's fucking Lamborghini's rented. Cool, bro. Even if it was rented, even if that was even true, then go. Where's your rented Lamborghini? What the fuck is that? Where's your, like, his mansion's rented. Where's your rented mansion then? Go rent the mansion. It doesn't even make any sense. And there's entire channels that just dog these guys out, just dogging them out, which is fine. Look, I like a good dogging out, as we found out today. That's called humor. But the point is, like, you can't just stop there. Take the action. Like, it's funny to dog people out to the extent that you get a laugh out of it, but then you're still broke in your basement. Like, that's funny to a point, bro. Like, talking about whacking off in your own basement is hella funny to a point. It's funny because you get out. You know what I mean? You get out, you joke about it, you know, you make a little joke. That's the point. You can't just stay in the basement forever. Like, that ceases being a joke at a certain point. So I liked a lot of what you said there, just the engaging of the mind. Naeem, I'd love for you to share a little bit about marketing agency and, like, the kind of things that you do, what influences you've had, the actions that you could take. So we've looked at real estate as a model here, whacking off as a model here, and wrestling, and then coaching as a model here. You do also an agency.
Yeah.
So and it's not just like an agency like the not successful one. Like, you're doing shit for Ty, like, you're making shit happen.
Yeah.
So, you know, unfortunately, I feel like for every one agency successful, there's like 1,000 that are kind of like an aborted fetus, if we're being honest. But but the thing is, like, what would be some things that you're doing and that other people could do that could lead to them being successful in that?
Yeah, 100%. And let me just say this, you know, it's like the antithesis of what he said about investing money is also not having anything and starting with nothing. And I think it's so important to realize that that's actually where the most creativity comes out. And sometimes you have to burn all of your ships. If I could go back to when I did have a job and I was trying to stay secure while building my side hustle, I would actually just quit the job, burn all the ships, and I would 100% just move into the area of unknown, because it forces you to become creative and actually make something out of it. You know, my favorite entrepreneurs are the ones that don't ask for anything, that don't need the money, because they're going to figure out the way to do it without the money. Because, you know, Bill Gates once said, I like to hire lazy people because they find the fastest way to get things done, right? And so I think, you know, it goes
Then he
back
said to depopulate the world. But anyway, let's keep going.
100%. So I think yeah, no, 100%. But arguably the richest person in the world, right? So
That's why he wants the whole thing.
100%. And so I think what you said earlier about being youthful, right? And having time and energy, and youth is not an age, right? Being youthful is a energy, right? It's so having that time and energy is all you really need. Like, you can ask any successful person. I guarantee if I ask Owen right now, if I were to put you in the middle of Africa, in the middle of nowhere with boxers on and nothing else, and you've lost everything, do you believe that you would make something out of yourself in that moment?
If I could survive, yes.
100%. And you would survive because of your mindset.
I hope so.
100%.
I've actually been to Africa, and it's definitely a dangerous place, but it's beautiful.
Right. But the concept of this is like, it's more of a mindset than a method. It's like when you're put against the wall, like you mentioned earlier, you're going to figure out a way to do it. Right. And so not underestimating other people, I think that was a huge piece of advice there, because that's what happened to me. Right. So Marcel Klein, I hope, you know, we can, I have time to share this story, but, you know, I met him back in 2019 when he had $0 to his name. I was on stage speaking after Steve Wozniak and Gary Vee and Marshall Silver, who was one of the biggest hypnotists at the time. And I'd come off stage. I had my speaker badge on. He recognized me. He saw some of my social media posts. At the time, I had an event that was in the Hollywood Hills. And he's like, hey, he's like, nice to meet you. My name is Marcel. I'm the best hypnotist in the world, but I came here on my last dollar. I'm like, okay. But he had enthusiasm. He had energy. I could tell. I saw something in his eyes. And I was 21 at that time. He was 20. But I saw something in his eyes. I was like, how old are you? He's like, I'm 20. I'm like, no way there's a 20-year-old this confident, right? With this much energy, this much charisma. So long story short, he's like, hey, could I speak at your event? And initially the interaction was kind of like, yeah, let's see, let's connect. Let's get back to each other in a week or so. Long story short, he ends up speaking at the event, right? I believed in him early on in his career. Before he had signed his first $1 million client, right? 3 months later, he signed his first $1 million client. But before that, I believed in him. And that small interaction, me not underestimating somebody, at a point in which I was 21 doing 6 figures a month with my cryptocurrency derivatives trading platform that I'd created, with the new event that I had started. I was coaching the VP of MGM Studios. I was coaching celebrities, Snoop Dogg, Wiz Khalifa, Jason.
You coach Snoop?
Oh, he was living in my building at 1600 Vine. He had a spot there where he had his studio on the 7th floor, I remember. And we had, you know, long story. But long story short, I was in a moment in my life where I didn't underestimate him. And long story short, in 2022, I was facing the depths of the bear market, right? Bitcoin was at 15,000. You had Do Kwon with Luna, like just, you know, scammed hundreds of billions out of investors. I lost everything in that moment, you know, and then you had everything with FTX and, you know, Sam Bankman-Fried, who's in jail right now with Diddy in the same cell, right? So I went through that in 2022, and guess what? Marcel was blowing up at that time. I was in Orlando. It was during, you know, the it was like the aftermath of the pandemic. I decided to go back to college. I was like, screw this. I was like 24, 25. I'm like, I'm going to go back to college. I dropped out of college when I was making more money than all of my professors combined when I was 17, 18, 19, you know, I have a foggy memory, but, you know, around that time I dropped out. So I had to go to classes with like 16 and 17-year-olds at 24. It was the most humbling experience of my life. But I was in the depths of the bear market. You know, my business went from six figures a month to like making 10 or 15K a month, which was nothing for me at the time because I had 2 houses. I had my parents' mortgage. I had so much responsibility at that time. So I was broke because all my money went out, even though it was 10 to 15K a month. All of it was gone every single month. And I was going into my savings, eating it up more and more and more. And so I'm in college, and then Hurricane Ian comes. It drenches Florida. It creates, like, some cities turned into lakes. It was the worst hurricane ever because I was born and raised in Orlando. And when that happened, I was in the depths of everything. I call Marcel out of desperation. I'm like, dude, my life, because he's like posting his 10,000 square foot mansion, his 15 supercars. And I'm like, this guy, I was like, I love this guy. I'm like, this guy is crushing it. And I knew he would be this, like, he'd be this person. And I just call him like, dude, I need some help. Like, I don't have the money to pay $1 million to get coaching from you, but I'm a good friend. Like, I believed in you back in the day. And he's like, dude, I love you. He's like, what, I have an extra room. He's like, what could you pay in rent? And I gave him, I told him, I was like, I can pay, whatever it was at the time, $2-3 grand, whatever. He's like, come. He's like, just come, take the flight and come. So I send him a photo of my U-Haul the next week. I'm like, all right, I just took all of my stuff out. I'm moving out of this house. I'm going to Airbnb it for the rest of the lease. And I'm coming to LA. I come to LA with no expectations. I was just like, I need something new. And I knew coming back and relocating was going to be the key. And so long story short, I end up adding so much value to, some of his events before I had even come onto his team. And then he's like, dude, I want you to come on as my CEO. And it was like a huge surprise to me. I'm like, no way. I was like, I can't do it. I haven't had a job. And so I'm unemployable. Like, what are you talking about? I'm an entrepreneur. But sometimes you just have to humble yourself. And I said, you know what? I'll do it. And you remember that when I was a CEO, I'd always come with Marcel with my little briefcase. And I'm just like, yes, I'm his CEO. And I'm just embracing this role because I'm like, what else do I have? Right? Yeah, I built great companies earlier on in my life. But now I'm like, I'm his CEO. Like, he's going to show me the path. Like, I'm going to see the modern. And guess what? Doing that, humbling myself, and I've been fired from every job, even that one, right? So my whole life I've been fired from jobs, right? And so, but we scaled him to over $1 million a month in 3 months. I cleared house. I knew business from the companies that I built, and he taught me the new age of business, the social media. He taught me, a lot of personal development. The best coach in the world, the best mindset coach in the world, in my opinion. Other than Owen is,
Don't worry. We're all good. We're all the best.
Saying, yeah. No, but he learned from you. Let's not even get into that. When you took him under your belt.
Well, I know how to recognize talent.
Exactly. And so you were a huge part of his success as well. And he'll vocally say that and openly say that. And so the biggest thing there was I learned so much from that experience. And then 6 months later, it got to the point where, we were crushing it. The company was crushing it. And at the time, he was paying me a lot, because I had commissions. And so I had a percentage of the results. And it was getting expensive for him to just keep me on. But it was almost like there was just this natural progression of, it was like, hey, it's time for you to go and leave the nest, Naeem. And so I said, I said to myself, what, my best friend, at the time, was in Orlando going through a hard time, best friend for over 20 years. And I'm like, well, listen, if I'm not going to be CEO anymore, at least let me put somebody in the position to become the CEO and take this role, and somebody that I care about so I can at least leave my mark within that business. And so long story short, he flies out, stays at our guest house at the time. And then Marcel ends up hiring him as his CEO. And then, I take a step away, and I go and I go to Joshua Tree, and I'm starting to really meditate and reflect over the last 6 months of what happened. I came out to LA with no expectations. I became CEO of his company. I saw all this new world of business and millions of dollars a month. And so long story short, that's when I started my sales agency. And Marcel had a huge part of that because he brought clients to me in the beginning, and, he was helping me out. And then it was one client after the other, scaled him to 6 figures a month, scaled this person to 7 figures a month. And then now, 2.5 years later, we're working with some of the biggest personal brands in the world, Ty Lopez, Dan Fleischman, started working with him 4 months ago, done over $3 million in revenue in the last 3 months, right? And so I wouldn't say it's a market, if we want to get into the nitty gritty, there's 3 components to a very successful online business in today's world. It's a great offer, right? It's marketing and it's sales. Marketing and sales are 2 very different components, right? And so in the beginning, we used to refer out the marketing to others. And my specialty was always building and managing the sales team. So my company is highticket.io. So it's highticket.io, HIticket.io. And the reason it's high ticket is because we only specialize in high ticket offers, right? High ticket offers anywhere between $2,500 to $1 million, right? So coaching packages for $20K or $100K. And we're only working with people that actually can give results, right? When I vet a client out, Like I would take Owen on as a client because I know he can get somebody results, right? And it goes back to mentors, right? Like you have to find somebody that has the success in the area of life that you want and you follow them. And they might not have success in other areas. Like if you have a lot of success, like if I have mentors that are extremely wealthy, they have a lot of money, but they're broke inside when it comes to relationships. They've had a divorce. Their kids don't like them. Right? So I'll listen to that mentor about money. I'll listen to them about business all day, every day. I'll copy exactly what they tell me to do. But if they give me advice about relationships, I'm going to filter that out, right? Or vice versa. If somebody's broke, but they've been in a marriage for 35 years and they have a great family, their kids love them and their kids are healthy and their kids are energetic, they're not doing drugs, and that you know that that's a great family, I'm going to listen to that person all day, every day about relationships and family and raising kids, right? And so, there's so much to this, but one book that I would recommend to anybody that's like just getting started, How to Win Friends and Influence People. You cannot go wrong with that. When it comes to like, if you're taking that step to like get into Owen's program and Owen's going to take you to the next level socially. But if you need the basics, the fundamentals, get a book like How to Win Friends and Influence People, and then have the confidence to get into a program like you see Owen, you're like, man, I'm intimidated by that social calibration. Like he's just so calibrated. It's just so intimidating. Well, guess what? You can be intimidating too, right?
100% people can.
They can also by osmosis, right? Through the course, because the course is osmosis. I mean, you're learning from Owen himself, 80 hours worth of content. It's like, you're going to also learn how to become intimidating. And you'll also learn how to become intimidating, but not also be intimidating. Right? So yeah, I know it sounds crazy, but sometimes like if you're in a social setting and you realize that this archetype, this person doesn't like being intimidated, then the intimidating person will just tone down a little bit. Like I've seen Owen tone down and slow down and talk to people with grace and candor and really understanding that there's only so many archetypes in the world. I think that it's like 16 different archetypes or something. And if you understand how to work with those 16 different archetypes and you get really good at identifying archetypes, which Owen is the best in the world at doing, then you can socialize in any setting with any type of individual and connect with them on a level in which they really appreciate your energy and they're willing to do business with you and they're willing to open up and be transparent. And this could happen in an instant, within moments, right? And so, where we're at now is, now we've taken everything in-house for highticket.io. Now we're doing all the marketing. We've brought on, a great friend of mine who's done, multiple 8 figures with, heads the Russell Brunson ClickFunnels Awards, doing our marketing for all of our in-house clients, and we get better rates than anybody because it's all in-house now. So now we're doing the whole shebang. We're doing offer creation. We're taking personal brands that don't have offers that are sitting on oil rig, like on oil and gold, and that's what it was. So like even right now with the sales agency, I realized that I have this network of people that I've built over the last 7 years of relocating and putting myself in social environments where now I'm like, man, like with Dan, like I saw him at an event and I'm just like, man, like you're sitting on so much, man, and like all I brought to him was time and energy, like. The only thing I said to him was like, hey man, like I'll put the sales team together. I'll help you with the marketing and I'll do the best job ever. Nobody will do it better than me because I have my youth, right? I know I can actually show it. Like he will believe in somebody like me because I have the youthfulness, the energy, right? And he believed in me and I executed. And that's also a big part of it. Don't promise something that you don't have the potential to fulfill. Like sometimes you want to bite more than you can chew, but do it in a way where you can figure it out, right? Like because the worst thing you could do is overpromise and then just underdeliver, right? So at the same but it's just hard work. So like you can't, I've been very confident with every client that I've taken on. Like I know like, hey, I'm going to make this work. If I know I can't make it work, I'm just not going to do the job, right? And so, that's a little bit about the agency and where we're at right now. I mean, it's to the point where like we built like our whole front end, like sales funnel, short form funnels. And we haven't been able to even use it because just through word of mouth, like I went to Miami at the Clever Summit and everyone backstage.
Get too much referred business.
Yeah,
And
everyone.
that's what we're
yeah.
talking about with social circle building. Is like, if I had say I wake up one day, I'm like, I want a girlfriend. I know how to go out and talk to girls, but literally, if I just go to my network of female friends and said I'm looking for a girlfriend, my female friends, who are all amazing, would be like, oh, well, first of all, they think I'm lying, but I'd be like, no, I want a girlfriend, and then they'd be like, well, are you serious? I'd be like, no, I'm serious, and then they think I'm lying, and then I'd convince them, and then basically what would happen is they would just start bringing friends over. They would just do it like it would be 10 a day because I have shown them respect and I value them and I treat them with respect. So I have a proper network. And it's the same thing with business. Like if I'm like, okay, I'm looking for say like, a high ticket one-on-one client. Like I just want to get, I'm open to a one-on-one client. I would just go to my network. I'd say, yeah, I'm open for one-on-one, tell your friends. And like, I could pull my phone out and like literally show you like high tech entrepreneurs and all this shit. And people are like, oh, you got to meet Owen, you got to work with them. And these are guys who, they don't even want to take a course that isn't expensive. They don't want it. Like if you told them like, oh, do the 5K one, they'd be like, I don't want that shit. My time is more valuable. They want the 50K one. They want the 100K one. Now with my run rate of my business, do I really want a 100K client? That's in question. But let's say that I do. Okay, so I take it. Well, I could just put the word out. I don't need to chase somebody to do that. I have a network. But and again, it's not even about that. Like in truth, a lot of the best part of life is just like throwing a ball with your kid. I don't need a 100K client. I don't need my like female friends to introduce me to a girl. That's not the joy of life. There's many other joys of life. Look, I can have more fun staring at a fucking wall being happy, but you have to engage. You can't just disengage your fucking mind and let your mind go to shit and ignore your experience of fucking life. So that's the power of a network. So it's like basically what you were explaining, because I think people might not even fully understand, is you have a front end funnel that you'd use to elicit or to recruit new business, and you haven't even started it yet because you have too much referred business. What does that come down to? What have we taught for years? Cold approach, expanding a network, social skills, social calibration, social awareness, taking massive action. And you see these motherfuckers like sitting there in their fucking house like, I'm too afraid to approach. It's like on the other side of your fear to approach is millions of dollars, incredible social life, travel, fun, everything you want is on the other side of that fucking approach. But they can't get past it. They can't find a way to do it. And they just loop on this shit. And then they vote in fucking socialist policies and shit like that. Probably not my clients, but like, because they think they're victims. They think they're a fucking victim. And it's like, I'm a believer in human potential. Like, I don't care the biggest fucking derper. I believe that they could do amazing shit. Like, I believe that. I believe that every human life is a child of God, created in the image of God, and that their potential is massive and they don't even see it. And that they have a God-given mission, and then they're ignoring it. So they're basically insulting God. Like, that is really how I see it. I don't care if my kids are super rich, super poor. I want them to recognize what their purpose is and to go actually actualize that. So like your purpose, like you're an incredible encourager. You're somebody who has a lot of genuineness, a lot of ability to relate with other people. You enjoy genuinely helping other people, and you're not like virtuousing like that. Like that's real. I've seen you. I mean, you're hyper loyal. Well, what that comes down, and you're super positive, right? And so that means that you're somebody who people are probably going to trust very rapidly. You will go in and help other people. I think another way to, and so you're in your niche, right? You're in your strong suit. Likewise for yourself, you're somebody who understands systems. Like for you, it's like a Monopoly game, right? Like I have friends like that too. They just see it as a game, and then they go from there. Looking at yourself, you have certain physical capabilities, right? Imagine if I tried to wrestle you, beat my ass. I'm like, you didn't beat my ass yet, right? So he's like, that's after. But the point being is like that you have that capability, so you utilize it. People have to actually uncover their strengths, but they never actually take the time to do that. They don't actually uncover their strengths. You've got to talk to people. What do you think I'm good at? And so on and so forth. One thing I'd like to maybe what I'll do is I'm going to ask you one more question, and then anything that you guys have left to add, if there's anything that you want to add to this, just fucking add it. Like this will be deep into the video, into our broadcast anyway, so not as many people will see, but any last things you have to add, you just let me know. But what I'd say to you is, if somebody's trying to get into marketing and product building and things like that, what are some simple steps that somebody could do to say, okay, like I have a shitty 9-to-5, I want to break out of it, I got to auto my skills, got to start making some content, build an organic following. Like what are some different steps that you would give to snap somebody out of that? They could just hit the ground running.
Yeah. So I'm a big believer in not having anything to start with. So let's say you had nothing to start with. And I want to give two really practical pieces of advice when it comes to networking. Because I'd say when it comes to marketing and sales, it's amazing to have those two. And, in a lot of ways, marketing is where you attract attention, and sales is where you're not afraid to engage in order to get an outcome, right? And so those are the two separations. And so with marketing, it's like marketing, a lot of that has to do with content, it has to do with your brand, the way that you portray your image. Sales, a lot of that has to do with communication. It has to do with pace, tonality, tempo, the way that you communicate a message, the way that you frame things, right? A lot of neurolinguistic programming and hypnosis can go into that, because sales is about getting a certain outcome, right? So you're having an engagement and there's some sort of like rejection. You can't take that as rejection. It's just redirection. You just take another approach. You take another angle, right? So sales is more of an art, while I believe marketing is also an art, but a lot of it is a science. But I just want to give these two very, very practical pieces of advice when it comes to social calibration, social settings, because networking, I think, is the key to any of this. Because let's say you have nothing, but then you meet somebody that has a huge personal brand but doesn't make money, which there's tons of those out there. If you know that person and then you go and you study marketing, you take courses and you understand sales, you can go and offer value to that person, because there's a lot of work required to build sales teams and to build out funnels and websites and all of that stuff. Like, those are great. Like, you can go and find out how to do that online for free, just through ChatGPT, just through YouTube. But, one thing that's very interesting about networking is, I think one of the biggest mistakes people make, and you'll see this a lot with the new trending content of like POV content, where people will just cold approach people, especially like if it's like guys that will just cold approach like, the opposite sex on the streets or something like that. Content's starting to become big. And the biggest mistake you'll notice, and you'll notice it in every piece of POV content, is their initial interaction is validating the other person. And that's the worst way to start an interaction. You don't want to over-validate others. Like, you ever had somebody come up to you like, oh my God, I love your hair. I love your eyes. I love you. And you're just like sitting there like you don't know how to take it. You're just like, this is too much. Like I don't like this, right? Because subconsciously, in order to have a great interaction, you want the other person to seek out your validation in certain ways. And so you don't overly validate others. That's number one. So what does that mean? You don't compliment them right away. You don't because that's like the go-to strategy now. And it's literally the worst strategy in the world, in my opinion. You don't just go up to somebody and give them a compliment and validate them, right? Maybe in certain settings it can work. But much more effective is asking an open-ended question that doesn't validate them. Like, hey, what do you think I should order on the menu? Something that's more inquisitive, that will make them just engage with you without feeling.
Well, it shows you have a standard, right? It's showing that you're not like, oh, you look like this, and that's enough for me. You have some kind of a standard.
Exactly.
So they get to actually play with the interaction as well. You're removing all their capacity to play because you're just giving it to them. It's like you play catch with your kid, but you just hand them the ball and you're like, I'm done. You're not playing a game. It's like playing tag, but you're not playing a game. You're just ruining the game.
Yeah, and it's like you can use validation as a way to condition them throughout the interaction if the interaction is moving towards the positive direction, right? If they're sitting there talking to you for 5 or 10 minutes, and then their friend comes and says, hey, you want to come with us to the bathroom? They're like, no, I'm fine. I'm having a good interaction. Yeah, cool. I like your hair, by the way. You do a little bit of validation there because you just positively reinforce the fact that they want to sit there and talk to you while their friends just tried to take them away, right? And so it sounds crazy because it's how do I learn all this? Join his course and you're going to learn all of this stuff, right? And so, I'm just giving you guys little nits and bits of information that I've learned from Owen, knowing him for the last 8 years. But these are some of the most effective, practical pieces of advice that I've learned from you that I've been able to effectively utilize in networking environments. And this is also what's going to get you inside of the club on New Year's Eve when you don't have any access or an RSVP. This is what's going to get you inside of the VIP area of the event that you only have GA tickets to, because you get really cool with the guy that's holding the door down, right? That's what this is all about. It's about hacking life. It's about getting the advantage. It's a really good book called The Slight Edge, right? Just having that slight edge. And so, that's one piece of advice. Don't overly validate others in an initial interaction. And then the second thing is asking open-ended questions, right? I teach my sales teams this all the time, right? When we listen to recordings, I'm like, that was a closed-ended question. That was a closed-ended question. That was a closed-ended. What's a closed-ended question, by the way? It's a yes or no question. Why is that ineffective? Because it feels like an interrogation. Hey, do you like the weather? Yes. Hey, do you like the food? Yes. It's like people get so caught up into that because their default mode network just takes them to a closed-ended question because it's easy. Versus like you just have to adjust the question a little bit. How does the food taste? How does it compare to other food that you've had? Right? That's not a yes or no question. Now they have to describe to you how the food tastes. And now you can get more of their adjectives in the conversation and then use that to mirror them. And that mirroring creates more rapport. Like that's what we teach our sales team. Like I don't think anybody else in the world is better than us at sales. And I think it's because I've learned this from Owen. I've learned this from guys like Marcel, like hypnotists and neurolinguistic programming experts, like understanding communication to the highest level. So we build all of our sales frameworks upon that, right? Like the little things matter. And so, those are just two pieces of advice that I just want to just throw out there.
And imagine that this whole fun world that you can choose to engage with and play with, out of fear to even go say hi to someone, you never even get to see any of this. It's like in the same way that we have this beautiful national park system in America, but if you can't force yourself to just go to fucking Yosemite or go to Joshua Tree and just break your mind into the outdoor system, you're just stuck in your shitty little fucking town. You'll never see the most fucking beautiful country in the fucking world. The same way, like if you can't force yourself to go say hi to somebody, all these other little distinctions, you'll never have them.
I think a really effective strategy that you mentioned earlier was acting like a 5-year-old, just always wanting to be a 5-year-old, right? Like that's the goal. Just always wanted to be that 5-year-old. Why? Because all of us here, like even the wrestler that can take down, Michael Chandler, like we all started off as childs, like and kids, and we're just grown up adults, right? Like we're still kids though. Like we started off as kids. We've just had time in this world that that's the only difference between a real kid and a kid, right? And so, like with social interactions, what I really like to do, especially if like you're over the age of 18, it's fun to bring people back to their childhood. And so like, really like instead of like some people are like, well, what's a good opener? I like doing things that like stuff that you would do if you were in kindergarten, at the playground, in school, like, you'd walk up to a girl and just be like, hi, my name is Naeem. I have a really big crush on you. Like, if you say that to if you're like a 22-year-old or an 18-year-old or a 27-year-old, or even better, a 35-year-old or really like a 55-year-old, that would be even crazier. Like, if you go up to a girl at a networking event, just walk up to, hi, my name is John, and I have like a really big crush on you. And you just look her straight into the eye, right? Because that's in How to Win Friends and Influence People, like eye contact that shows confidence. Like, how could you go wrong with that interaction?
Well, I think especially, and the key is that it's congruent to your energy and the way that you are. Like everyone I find has a way that they are, and they can tap into how they are and find something that's congruent to them. That's like my favorite way to start a conversation is actually to imitate somebody. I just like it. I can go up and I just start imitating what they look like, and it's congruent to me. Like it's really good. But then other people might try that and might not be as good, right? So everyone has their way. You have that childlike energy, so I think it's so perfect for the way that you are, right? If I was like, hi, I have a crush on you. Like it could be okay, but the way that you do it is fucking money. You know what I mean, right? So it's about the congruence to the person, I think, too, and figuring out each person's unique interaction style, I think, is massive too.
Absolutely, yeah, and all of that you can learn in the course.
Well, you love my stuff, right?
What is it? BlueprintReloaded.com?
Yeah, that's the new one, yeah. Yes,
Okay.
you've come up on the older ones, and that's the new one. And by the way, is there anything else that you guys want to fill in the gaps? You haven't talked for a little while. Anything else that you guys want to fill in before we wrap? We've gone long, but if there's anything left you guys want to fill in, just knock it out.
I will say this, if you want to learn sales and if you want to become a closer, I love providing opportunities to people that don't have the opportunities. Because we're talking about making money right now. Remote closing is an amazing opportunity. And I believe we have the best training program in the world at hiticket.io, hiticket.io. If you want to apply to become a closer, they can go on there. There's an apply button. And we vet out and interview every single person. And we have literally changed lives through our programs by hiring people with no sales experience and making them apex predators in sales, easily making $10, $20, $30, $40, $50,000 a month, remote closing from anywhere in the world, just taking phone calls, inbound phone calls.
And think about this, you're getting paid to train on sales. You're getting paid to learn a skill.
Yeah,
People
most
don't realize
people,
that.
actually, it's one, so most sales agencies will charge up front for people to join their program to learn sales, and then they go into training, and then they assign them into offer. we don't even do that. It's just more traditional. Like, hey, if you want to be a closer, apply here.
For the
You're
time
good.
being, you don't. So somebody wants to
Oh,
get in
sooner.
there now.
Yeah, but you know, my right now biggest client is like, I don't want like I want you to make money with me, not any like. So we'll do it sooner than later. But yeah, you know, it's just providing opportunity. I think that's huge. Like I just wanted to bring that. If there was one thing I wanted to give in terms of value,
Cool.
yeah, that's very practical.
Yeah. And any final distinctions you guys want to add to it? We've been here a long time, but if there's anything else, you can knock it out.
Yeah, I mean, I would just say don't give up with whatever you're doing. There's going to be a lot of setbacks in the business aspect, but they're just potholes in the road. Just refuse to give up, and you'll make it happen.
Amazing, bro. Any last thoughts?
I'll just understand trillion-dollar industries. You don't want to look at billion and million. If you look at the bigger trends that you know you can be in a decade, get in branding, get in personal development, get in AI. Those are big industries that AI is not going to be able to tackle. At least for the next decade. And I think that
Could you clarify that? What are the ones that AIs can't tackle? Personal brand.
And then, you know, just having your offer, you know, just not just being about a company, but you know, you yourself is a business.
Yeah. So tapping into your personality for the human to human connection. Oh, thank you very much, bro.
Yeah.
So I do have one last thought.
Yeah.
And does anybody know it's Owen's
Birthday today. Thank you, bro.
birthday today?
Look at that, man.
And I wanted to go ahead and present this. You know, my COO went and grabbed this behind
Fucking
her back.
see, that's
I wanna go ahead
engaging,
and
bro.
Present you your birthday cake.
Thank you, guys.
100%.
45 today, bro.
It's still you know, September 30th in Hawaii. So
Good shit, bro. Thank you, man.
so
Thanks,
happy
guys.
birthday, Owen.
Thank you, bro.
Absolutely,
Okay,
man.
So wrap with this. Okay, so guys, thank you for being
For
here.
sure.
This was a lot of fun, guys. I had a lot of fun, bro. Thanks for doing my shit, bro. It was awesome. We'll close out and we'll wrap it up and we'll smash some cake, okay? Good night, guys.